FriYAY. Yeah, I'm sitting down today, and I'm going to play you a song.
Jump in my ride, no time to waste. Headed to the beach, gotta keep the pace. Sipping on a cold one, feeling so free. Sunshine and ocean breeze, that's where I wanna be. Surfboards and palm trees, it's a perfect scene. Dancing in the sand where the vibes are so serene. No more traffic, no more TikTok cop. I'm on vacation, so let the good times rock. Flip-flops on my feet, sand between my toes, cruising down the coast, windows down. Here I go, blasting my favorite tune, singing at the top of my lungs. No worries, no stress, just having some fun.
Okay, so I'm going on vacation. I've mentioned that this week, that next week I'm not here because I'm going on vacation. Now, I'm not actually going anywhere. There's no beach. There's no sand on my toes business. But that's what the AI wrote in the song about the TikTok traffic cop being on vacation. Happy Friday. Anyway, I hope you're doing well. I hope your night last night was as good as mine was. I went and visited a car event. Yes, I attended the Porsche North Toronto event, and it was wild. There were so many beautiful machines, so many nice people. It was a lot of fun. And shout out to Anthony who invited me down there. It was great to hang out with you and the rest of the gang at Porsche. Did I call it Porsche earlier? You know what? I flip flop. Porsche. What do you think it should be called? I mean, I know what the right way is, but I call it both, and I know I'm wrong when I call it the incorrect way. Today being the 17th of May and FriYAY, I want to talk to you about what I talk to you about every single time I show up on your screen. That's Vision Zero Enforcement Team, those dedicated officers who go out there every single day to change driver behavior one ticket at a time. No hugs are given. Why? Because they're trying to make the road safer for everybody by enforcing the Big Four. Now, they focus on these. That's not to say they're limited to these. They're focused on people who are speeding, people who are driving aggressively, distracted, or impaired. But that's not to say you wouldn't draw their attention if you were creating unnecessary noise in a Lamborghini in front of a car dealership. Just saying. And that's who it was last night, making a lot of noise. A couple of guys in Lambos were making a lot of noise. And then everyone would look and cringe and they're not with us. I kid you not. I was really impressed with the people who showed up in support of the Porsche, season kickstart, where people came out just to enjoy the love of their cars and chat. Like, I spoke to so many people about things they're passionate about. And also shout out to all those who watched the show, because there were so many of our community. I don't want to say fans, because some people said, "Oh, I'm a big fan," but we're a community. I'm not accepting this TikTok fame concept because it's weird for me. Not for you, it may not be weird. For me, it's weird. But I appreciate all of you. It was so nice to meet so many of you and take photos with you and chill out and just chat. And shout out to Christian if you're watching. We had tacos last night at the food truck, and he's cool. I like him a lot. All right, where is the Vision Zero Enforcement Team today? They are spending their time focused on Vision Zero enforcement activities in 14 Division and 55 Division. We're talking about the neighborhoods of Christie, Ossington, Annex, Little Italy, the beaches, Riverdale, Danforth, East York, neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play. And for those who say, why are we announcing where you are at? Well, it's because we want those people who live in those neighborhoods to know that we're there, that we care, and that they're safe. That's it. That's all. It looks like we're having issues with the TikTok connection. One day we'll find it, the TikTok connection. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? It's not easy being green. Let's see here. Yarok. 1 second. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to reset the chat because it's not working. Good morning to Toronto Road Cams to stop anti-Semitism now. Is that you're covered? It is stop. No, it's Stop Anti-Semitism Today is the username, not now, but now works. They said, good morning, Sean. And Emma says that, Emma says that she doesn't pronounce the in Porsche. She says Porsche, not Porsche. But I'm pretty confident Porsche is correct. So anybody else with opinions, please let me know. I'm just resetting the bot so that we don't have issues, or hopefully we regain connectivity with the TikTok. But I will tell you this. It's Friday, and it's going to be chill. I'm sitting down. Normally I'm standing. I'm sitting down. Not only did I walk a lot last night, my legs hurt, so I'm sitting. It's Friday. We gotta relax a little bit. And Emma says that Porsche is correct, but she refuses to, join in the Porsche. She refuses to. Let's see here. We got Chase who's back and says, my vacation is more of a staycation. You're absolutely right. We've got, and by the way, Chase was first into the chat to say good morrow. Then we've got Akela's greetings and salutations. We've got Auxiliary PC Evandro, who says, good morning, your Brazilian fan is watching again. Let's see here. A great question about substances. Evandro wants to know, if the driver of the car does not smoke marijuana cigarettes, can the passenger smoke marijuana cigarettes while the driver is in the car driving? And the answer is no. You cannot consume marijuana or drugs or alcohol in a vehicle, period. Motor vehicle can't do it. Doesn't matter if you're the driver, the passenger, doesn't matter. Not at all. Then we got Zombie with a good morning. Happy Friday long weekend. Yeah, I keep forgetting that it's the long weekend. And let me just see if we have our connection. No, I'm going to try rebooting it. It's like CPR. Refreshing the screen. Refreshing the screen again. Okay, maybe this worked. Because I see a whole bunch of stuff just popped in to the chat, which is slowly growing today. But we will hopefully... Oh, there it is. Alcide says, I read tint on my car. Okay, cool. So the link is working. Hopefully it stays that way. Continuing down the list. But last long weekend, so there are folks who are going to be enjoying some fireworks, some Ashbridges Bay business. If you're going to be out, be safe. Be responsible on the road. We tend to see a spike in collisions and bad stuff whenever people are partying and enjoying themselves a little too much. So if you're going to be out on the roads, drive responsibly, drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive, or drive whilst under the influence of drugs or alcohol. It's just not a good move. Pete says, hi, everybody. Actually, it said, hi, everyone, but, I like to improvise. Julie says, good morning and happy Friday. And, cool. Zombie got an early workout in time to relax. Cool. We've got a dad joke from Akela for later. We have 2 dad jokes. Oh, good. And a quote, no doubt. All right. Downsview 34 would like to request more traffic agents along Spadina and King, Spadina in front during evening rush hours. Lots of cars block the streetcar tracks. That's a City of Toronto program. I don't believe that we have any influence or control over them. They're managed by the City of Toronto, as far as I know, because it's not me that's involved for sure. But I would suggest contacting the city. And you could possibly put in, what else you could do? You could do a neighborhood complaint form at tps.ca. That might get filed to them as an alternative. But unfortunately, and as much as I appreciate your input, I don't have anything to do with that. Okay. Basharat Ali, our friend from Punjab, Pakistan, says, morning, Sir Sean. Hopefully you will be fine. Take care of yourself and others. That's what we do every day. We are people helping people. That's what it's all about. So many people look at the police and we, Basharat is police. And they think of us as these big bad meanies who enforce the rules and tell people, no, they can't have fun. And we do say things like that. But we're not meanies. We're trying to help people. Anyway, Chase says it is Porsche, German name. Yes. And Audi is Audi as opposed to like Audi, as far as I know. Or is it Audi? I don't know. There's a guy who cracks me up. He does all the car manufacturer stuff while crushing beers. Not in a car crushing beers. He's at his kitchen table. And he does these great impressions or accents. And he's apparently just some dude in America who just happens to care about the correct pronunciation of German motoring manufacturers. Yeah. In Brazil, it's Porsche, not Porsche. Interesting. In Brazil, that would be Portuguese. Yeah, that makes sense. The different, yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you. Zach says, good morning. I'm going to be at a beach today for my birthday. Is drinking on the... Oh, this is Zach who's coming in from TikTok, and Chase is typing on his behalf. Is drinking on the beach a no glass? So I don't know if there's been anything. First of all, it depends on where you are. Are you in Toronto or are you in another jurisdiction? If you're in the United States, they may have different rules. I would say glass on the beach is a bad deal. I don't know if alcohol is allowed on the beach, quite honestly. So there you go. MM9905, good morning. What is this? TPTU. Why should I should top? What is this? I should know what that acronym is, but it's not ringing any bells. What do you think of the incident that happened in France on Tuesday? I don't know, because I don't know what happened on Tuesday in France. Please let me know. Spell it out, because there's so much news that I go through, but I don't know what it is. Is it driving related or other things? Maybe I should just Google it. France Tuesday. No, a prisoner escape? Is that what we're talking about? Is that the top story there? 2 officers killed in a prisoner escape. This is on Politico. Manhunt underway in France after 2 officers killed in a prisoner escape. Wow. Ambushed by gunmen armed with heavy weapons. This is a drug-related crime. Is this really now, or is this an old website? May 14th. Wow. So, he was a drug dealer known as the Fly, being moved from a prison to a court in Normandy, a trip of 60 kilometers, according to French media reports. Okay. So, that's not good. Well, now that I know that we lost some officers, and I say we lost officers, policing is an international community. When cops die, it's tragic anywhere. Now I'll have to go read the rest of the article. But back to traffic stuff. But thank you for letting me know. I want to know more about that. So the first message that came in from TikTok is actually the only message that came in from TikTok. Did I break TikTok whilst fixing TikTok? Let's try turning off this again. See if it fixes it. Yeah, we'll come back and see if it's working. Send me some TikTok messages or comments so I can see if it's actually working. Again, it breaks a lot. So I red tint on my car. So you can have any color you want. It's about how much light is getting through. Now you can't have it on the windshield, but you can have red tint on the rest of the car. And Chase wants to know what Chase is asking for Asin. I think that's how he's asking. Okay. What's the legal limits on window tint? I've been thinking about tinting my windshield and the rest. Windshield is absolutely prohibited. Lose your license plates. Not safe for the road. Illegal. Don't do it. In Ontario. There may be provinces and states, or there are provinces and states that allow it. What am I saying here? In terms of the rest, for certification purposes, 30% light blockage is the maximum, but that could be darker than is legal when it comes to driving at night. If I can't see inside, if I can't see a driver and identify, I don't mean identify like, hey, that's Bob. I mean identify in terms of male, describe complexion, describe, some attributes, person, see a person, outline, like something. But it's often just a completely dark window. That's absolutely illegal. So that could be 20% tint, depending on the type of tint, the quality of the tint, how much light's actually getting through. So if you're putting tint on top of other tint, like there's a pre-tinted, like factory tinted window, and you put 30% tint on it, you're now more than 30% blockage. People don't follow any of the rules. But just expect tickets if you tint your windows too much. Very light tint is acceptable. And as soon as Chase says it works, then it stops working. I'm going to try and reboot again. I say reboot, I mean like refresh the page and press reload. Press the relay mode button because stuff ain't working. Sorry. It's stressful when stuff doesn't work out. Chase is here for backup tech support. Awesome. Neil Rowland wants to know if you can turn right or what is this? Oh, can you turn right around a bus taking on passengers? So if it's a school bus, that means you can't pass it because it's got the school busy thing happening. But I'm assuming you're talking about a city bus. If a city bus has stopped servicing the lane, servicing a bus stop, can you pass that bus? If it can be done safely, if you can then enter the turn lane. You can't make a wide turn cutting past the bus lane. That would be an improper turn. But it is possible that you could do it safely, but be cautious because you might end up by getting yourself a ticket. The truth is you should wait the 30 seconds until people get on the bus and move on, and then it's done safely and legally. Radek says, good morning. Good morning to you. What is this? Is it legally required to maintain a distance of 3 meters behind an accessible taxi displaying a keep back 3 meters sign? I don't think that is a Highway Traffic Act, anything that's enforceable. I think that is saying that they have a big door that's going to open and your car might get scratched if you're within. Like, they've got to be able to offload their passengers, and I think that is what that's for. That said, I'm acknowledging that I don't know. I'm guessing here. I'm not aware of anything in the HTA that has accessible related vehicles marked that way. And TikTok is still not working. Sorry. Frustration Fridays. It's supposed to be FriYAY, but TikTok is not working, so there you go. I will look at TikTok and focus on you guys in a second. Oh, the traffic. You'd think I would have figured that out, right? Like, I'm looking at this acronym, and no, did I ever think it was the Toronto Police Traffic Unit, TPTU? No, I didn't realize that, but thank you. I feel silly now. No, I didn't think of it. I'm thinking about everything on the internet, but no, the obvious didn't make sense to me. Let's see here. I'm not going to try and pronounce that, Chase. He says BMW stands for Beesreich Motor en Werk, I think. Beesreich? I can't say it. Or at least if I'm saying it right, I don't know I'm saying it right, so I'm assuming I'm saying it incorrectly. All right, I am scrolling back through mounds of TikTok since stuff ain't working. And, oh, no. I got to go to the top of this list. And I've got to cut and paste, otherwise stuff's not going to work. Copy. Opening the Notes app. Is that the Notes app? That's not the Notes app. Stand by. It's these uncomfortable moments of silence that make me think I should play music in the background as opposed to scroll and ignore you. Come on, Notes. Why can't, when you type in the letter N, it brings you to the Notes. How about Word? Okay, we're just going to... I'm a Macintosh person, and I'm of the opinion that PC stinks. Prove me wrong. My Mac works great. PCs don't. I'm waiting. Somebody tell me I'm wrong. Somebody bring me facts. Now I can't even find my mouse. Oh, mouse is on the wrong screen. Oh, my goodness. All right. By the way, shout out to those people who are watching on Instagram. Know that the better platform is YouTube or TikTok. Well, not TikTok today, but YouTube in general. So if you want to visit us there, jump over to there, which is available at youtube.trafficcop.ca. And since I totally neglected to mention the fact that we're on a whole bunch of different platforms, you can use any one of those platforms to watch us. So the best experience and most stable experience, in my opinion, is YouTube. TikTok is amazing, but the way we use it, we're using it through an RTMP stream, and that means we need to do magical work, and sometimes the magic, well, it's just not available. There's a limit of how much magic one can harness at one time, and we use more than our fair share, so sometimes it don't work. But go where you like it most. Just that Instagram doesn't integrate at all with us, so I can only see it. I can only see your comments when I'm looking in that direction, which I don't often look in. Now, a reminder, I think I actually uploaded it yesterday. I hope I did. We download and re-upload we upload this to podcast platforms so you can synchronize and listen while you drive without breaking the law because there's no video. Spotify has video, but don't use the video while you're driving. But you can synchronize and you can listen to it on the go without burning your data. And that's a good thing. I'll change the graphics to be above my head. It actually works out better when I'm sitting down, I think. You know? Ooh. Okay. Well, I can raise it a bit. There we go. Give a little buffer. All right. Still not working. Mark the Tech Guy says, Macs are the best. PCs get more viruses. I think that's one. Like, I used to be a Mac tech guy. I used to work for an Apple VAR way long time ago. But that was always the thing. The people tend to build viruses for the platforms that are most popular. So there's more PC users. Thus, they attack the weakest link where there's most people. They spend the time for them. But there are viruses for Macs. There's just fewer of them. I think. Michael says bad workman blames the tools. Well, listen, I have absolutely no control over the tools. They do what they will. They do what they want. Yeah, truly, I can't fix them. I'm at the whim of the tool. That doesn't sound good either. All I have is a button. I can press it and then press it again. All right, let's go back to. We got Ryan, Thin White Line Interceptor, says, good morning and happy Friday, Mr. Sean. I hope you have a good vacay next week. Thank you very much. Cathrilia says, good morning. Good morning to you. And TikTok is not working. Hey, it was a pleasure meeting you in person last evening, sir. And that's Adam who's saying, hey, it was a pleasure meeting you too. It was great to meet everybody at the Porsche event. There were so many awesome people there. But thank you for saying hey, and now I can follow you back and see what kind of stuff you're putting out. Okay, let's see here. We got Chef Cam. This is dialogue amongst yourselves. Squeegee Boy says, yeah, but there was more market share-wise, there would be more viruses for those. 100%. All right. I got to go back to I'm going to come back here. I'm going to flag this. Towman has a question. We're going to get to that in a second, but I really want to acknowledge all the people who have patiently or impatiently been waiting for TikTok to start working again. So that means there's stuff in the queue that I happen to capture. All right. We talked about this, talked about that, talked about this. Hey, are those angry eyes on Jeeps legal? I saw this question before and I didn't get to it, Neil. Sorry for that. The angry eyes. So these are covers that obscure portions of the light, the headlight. I think that they could fall in the category of putting covers. And let me look at the wording. Where's my fuzzy searchable catalog here? Because I've got an app, it's called Shield Basic, and you can get a free trial to use it. And you can pay for it like I do. Headlight. Drive with headlight coated commercial motor vehicle. How about cover? Because I know there's a thing here. It's going to take too long to look. Because their fuzzy search isn't truly fuzzy. It has to be, if you have more characters or if there's a hyphen, like it just loses it. So unless they've changed it. Drive without proper headlights. Hang on a second here. Alternating. I'm sure there's something that says cover, but let's look at the lighting for coated. Without proper headlights. Anytime, half hour. I'm concerned that you might. I think they look really cool. The angry headlights are basically just a piece of plastic that goes over and covers a portion of it, changing the way the light's directed. So it looks cool, but I'm just concerned that you might get a ticket. And of course, I can't find it when I'm looking for it. If we look at headlight coated, are covered with a colored material or have been modified by the attachment to the lamps or area of the motor vehicle device that reduces effective area of lens. This headlight coated, I think, is the charge that you'd be looking at. On a commercial vehicle, it's $240. I think it's $110 on a non-commercial vehicle. And I wouldn't do it. I mean, if you want to slap it on when you're parked, you may never have a problem, but just know you're eligible for a ticket. All right. Is there a breathalyzer for drug testing? How do cops recognize a DUI? So there is it's not a breathalyzer for drug testing. It's a buccal swab. They basically put a Q-tip in your mouth and move it around, taking a saliva sample. That's available. But we also do standard roadside sobriety testing. We also have drug recognition experts. And, for the purposes of arresting you for impaired operation, it could be observations. It could be utilizing one of these tests. We don't use the buccal swab for court. We use it for drivers that have to maintain a zero content of drugs, and it looks for marijuana and cocaine. But for the purposes of impaired operation, we use testing, not buccal or breath testing. Okay. Goskio says, why are you never on duty? I am on duty. Like, I'm actually a police officer 24/7. That's how it works. We're sworn in for the duration of our employment. But in terms of why am I never on duty, I am on duty. I'm being paid for what I do. I work here at Toronto Police Traffic Services. This is the studio. I am on duty. I am being paid by the police service. Yeah, that's my thing. Nicolicious says, you've inspired me to go into law enforcement. That deserves a cut and paste. Hang on. Because I got to put you on screen. I'm actually really glad to hear that. That's awesome. Here, I'll put you on screen there. I hope that that it goes well for you, that you get in quickly, and that because it can be a long process. But if you have questions, feel free to reach out. You can always get me on trafficcop.ca. And I spoke to a couple of people last night that want to become police officers that reached out, in person, reached out yesterday and, talked about the fact that they've been talking to us in the show and they're really interested. But for anyone who's interested in becoming a police officer, check out TPS Employment Unit. Go to www.tps.ca/careers and all the answers are there. And just because I can, let me play the most amazing video. You may have seen it. I've seen it several times. It never gets old to me. This is my favorite video. Check it out.
Your future career starts with a vision. A vision of opportunities ahead, where you can see a path to a noble career, serving the city of Toronto. Where do you see yourself? Toronto Police Service. Apply today.
Like, awesome video, right? I think it's an awesome video. While that was playing, I was multitasking, or I was completely ignoring the video and nodding just randomly. While you watched that, I was checking out questions that had come in and getting them ready to go on screen. So questions from Towman. At a stop sign/light, is it the front bumper or front tire that needs to be behind the line? Have a great long weekend. Well, thank you very much. Hope you have a great long weekend too. The vehicle has to be behind. Technically, any portion that crosses is going to be a violation. Does it have to be a tire versus the front bumper? I mean, I think that's a great way to measure. Whatever the officer's interpretation is, I think is what works in terms of testimony. Like, if you're encroaching on the crosswalk, your tires are in, but you've got a big long hood, and now people are walking around your hood, you've entered the intersection, right? Even if your tires are behind the line. I think for the average person would support that the vehicle is in the intersection if any portion of the vehicle crosses. But I think it's a good question. And there may be a legal decision on it that doesn't jive with what I just said, but that's my interpretation. Okay. How to let drivers know if they forgot to put on their headlight system, especially at night. I flash high beams, I honk horns, I wave. If you're flashing their headlights, if you're flashing your high beams at them, are you breaking the law? Technically, you're using your high beams inappropriately. Sometimes it's roll down the window. You get beside them, do the international roll down the window, even though nobody has crank windows anymore, and they look at you funny. You do what you can, and sometimes it doesn't work. It's a big pet peeve. Now, funny story, I was coming out of a shopping plaza. I think it was a McDonald's at Victoria Park and York Mills. I saw a vehicle. I was so angry. I'm yelling at this person. I'm flashing my lights. I'm honking my horn. They don't get it. They're so confused. And I realized that I'm an idiot because I had my headlights off too. I had taken my truck to the mechanic, and they took my automatic light switch and turned it off while they were working on the vehicle. So here I am making a fool of myself. I mean, legitimately, they had their lights off, but so did I. It's Pastucci's Toronto Pasta Bar. Hey, welcome back. They ask, how's your day going? My day is going well. It is a chill so far, knock on wood, it is a chill Friday, and I'm planning on having a short day. If I can work it, if all things are equal, I'm going to leave early today, and I'm going to go home and prepare for a family meal and start my vacation a little bit early. All right, what do we got here? We talked about this one. Can motorcycles park anywhere for free? If so, for how long before you have to pay? So in the city of Toronto, we have a 3-hour street parking maximum, not in a meter situation. But I assume that 3 hours is going to be your maximum anywhere, regardless of it's a pay parking spot. I'm going to say 3. Now, I'm not the parking guru. That's Aaron Urquhart, who's not sitting beside me today. I believe it's 3 hours. Now, that means if you moved it 6 inches or 3 inches, you moved it, that 3 hours would reset technically. Now, it's not anywhere. It's in green pea parking on the street, not in a parking lot, but on the street. Where else? What else can I tell you about parking anywhere? I think I've covered it. I think so. Anybody else watching that has other opinions? Share them. All right. What is the legality of LED bars on the road? Turned off, obviously. So if they're turned off, they're legal because you can't use them you cannot have off-road lights used on the highway. They're not legal. And I see a lot of trucks. I even see factory trucks. Like some of the Toyotas have LED bars on them, but they're off-road LED bars. And people say, well, the moose. Okay, if you're in the country and you turn them on, obviously there's no one there to see you except the moose. But in the real world, into the cities, in an urban environment, that's a problem. Blinding people with these lights is no bueno. I got a ticket for no rear view. What's my way out? Well, do you have a rear view? Like the ticket suggests that you can't see the rear. You cannot see the rear of the vehicle at all. Now, if you've been watching my show for any time at all, you've probably heard me say that you can black out your rear window as dark as you want. You don't have to have a rear window. So if you have mirrors on your car, you have a way out because you have a clear view by way of mirror. You don't have to have a view through the rear window. So there's the thing. And don't get me wrong. For people who may be going, why is a cop telling you how to get out of a ticket? If the ticket is not correct, if the ticket was an error because the officer had a misunderstanding as to what the law was, I want you to make sure that you don't get convicted of something you shouldn't be convicted of because the person was wrong. And hey, cops can make mistakes. Not everybody's a traffic person. Somebody may misinterpret what they're reading. That's why we do this. And we have a lot of police officers who watch the show and ask questions. I had a telephone call before the show started from a copper who wanted to have a clarification on charges for electric scooters. I talk about this stuff all the time, and not just with you, the general public, but with police officers. So it's possible that they were mistaken, or there's something that I don't know about the event. Maybe your mirrors are broken. Maybe you've tinted your mirrors. There's possibilities. Maybe you've removed them because they're you want true aerodynamic benefits. Yeah, the drag coefficient of a mirror sticking out, I'm sure not a thing. But anyway. Raj Gill wants to know, sir, can I use highway? I have a G2 license. If yes, then what are the restrictions? I'm sad to say that I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that you don't know what a G2 restrictions are. Because you have a G2, it means you know or you should know that you can drive on any highway. There are no restrictions when it comes to the roads that you can use. There are restrictions in terms of zero blood alcohol content. That's for anyone who's a G1, G2, M1, M2, a learner, or someone who is young, who is under the age of 22, regardless of their license status, zero alcohol. In terms of your conditions, in addition to that as a G2, are that you can have in the first year, you have 2 6-month periods. The first 6 months, you can have only one person under the age of 20 in your car between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m. In the second 6 months, you can have up to 3 people under the age of 20 in your car between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m. And there's an exemption for immediate family members. Your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your children, immediate family. Now, what else can I tell you about that? And obviously, you can have a maximum of people in the vehicle as they have seatbelts available. Which is odd that so many people get that wrong. Like they load their cars up. Well, there was no more seatbelts, so we just had them sit on Bob's lap. No. Okay, let's see here. Gonna scroll through here and see what else I have from the original pack of questions. Why do you think of Jane and Finch? Why do I think of it, or what do I think of it? It's an intersection in Toronto. I used to work in 31 Division as an auxiliary. I think it's a intersection that has two malls. There's the Yorkgate Mall, and there's I think they're actually demolishing the other one, but it's a intersection. Dan Vanberg. Talked about that already? No. Yes, we did. Okay. True Grant. Oh, it's actually at Emma. So just a quick thing that I think is great to chat about. We talked about it yesterday. We talked about it, I think, the day before briefly. A young person who is in Saskatchewan in a parking lot about to get ready to go into a drive-through got a ticket for using their cell phone, said, I was just rolling slowly in the driveway. I don't know why I got a ticket. This is wrong, and challenged it. And I did some basic looking, and I saw nothing that suggested it was different than Ontario, but said it's possible there's something I don't know, and that maybe the through portions of the parking lot are covered under their Traffic Safety Act. But here's the funny thing. The follow-up from the Saskatchewan police, or the RCMP operating in Saskatchewan, is that the officer observed the driver of that vehicle having used their phone on public roads, on the road, prior to entering the parking lot. So the news article is all about, he's in the parking lot, he's not doing anything wrong, why is he getting a ticket? This is inappropriate. According to police, the observations made were on the road. They just happened to pull off the road to go into the parking lot and continued using their phone, and they received a ticket in the parking lot for what they did when they were driving on the road. So anyone who has a question about that, we've now covered it. We can move on. But I do like the fact that we got a follow up. Very often we don't make comments about things that are before the courts, and I'm so glad they did, because that was getting a lot of traction. And I think that this open discussion showing, I love how the United States shows the, body cams after shootings, right after. Yeah, it's before the courts, but we're going to tell everybody what happens so that people don't start writing their own scripts to the stories that they weren't involved in. All right. Scrolling through. Just trying to catch up. And what are you doing this weekend? What are you doing for a long weekend? You can let me know in the comments while I'm reading other things. We can come back and find out what's up. HSC wants to know, is this your full-time job? My full-time job is that of police officer. Part of my full-time job has social media and education duties attached to it, but it's not just hanging out on TikTok lives. And I'm not just on TikTok, we're on a whole bunch of platforms, but I don't just live stream. I do a lot of other things that involve creating training programs, creating training videos, dealing with education both internally and externally. I do a lot of stuff. I also speak to people about stuff and things. And I mean, I teach the Canadian Armed Forces. I just did some presentations to Canada Post about traffic safety. So yeah, I'm a full-time educator in the policing realm. What is this? When's the law changed? Okay, that's just dialogue amongst others. Please put a letter Q before the question so I know that it's for me and not for somebody else. Are drivers expected to know the 3-hour parking law? Yes. You ought to have known the law. So, yes. If you're parking in the city of Toronto, you should know the laws of Toronto. And if you don't know the laws, you get tickets. There's no, well, I didn't know. That's not a defense. You ought to have known. And Ms. says, I think that there should be signs. There generally are signs. I don't really focus on parking, but there should be signs saying 3 hours max. Nadia wants to know if you can you remove an old ticket from your abstract for insurance purposes? So here's the way insurance works in terms of how they have access to information. If you're with the same insurance provider for a long period of time, they may be keeping a file on you that extends beyond the 3 hours of live access that they have. So they can see, I say 3 hours, 3 years of access. They can see 3-year history. Some people say they can see 4. I would assume that's internal records included, because it's 3 years of history that they can see. And that's it. So if you have a 3-year, if you're coming to a company with saying that you have no record of or no collisions or no charges in 3 years, they support that. They have no record of that. In terms of taking things off, there's no need to. Convictions are removed from live access after 3 years. We see your entire life's history. Even if you got a ticket, before you became a licensed driver, or you got pulled over because you were joyriding on dad's car, we would create a license number, or the ministry creates a license number in your name, and it becomes a forever situation. It's forever and ever and ever. I want to look up mine, but I'm not allowed to look up my own. I'm just really curious what it says. I want to know, when did I actually get those tickets? It's not true. I have an abstract. When I applied to the police service, I went and purchased, and you can do this too. Go to the ministry and ask to purchase an abstract for like 18 or 25, something like that. You can get an entire history of everything that has ever happened to you on the road. You got pulled over for this. Now, warnings don't show. That's it. Mr. World says, I've complained about a neighbor speeding multiple times. He hasn't stopped. How can I escalate this? So if you're speaking to the police, if you made reports, local reports, you can do that online at tps.ca. If that's not getting anywhere, it's not making that change, it's possible that it just hasn't been prioritized or actioned, or it's possible that the person's being charged and doesn't care and continues to do dopey stuff behind the wheel. I would talk to the local police division. I would talk to a sergeant. I would possibly talk to other members of your community and create a group of people who are upset and bring forth a complaint as a group. Many voices make loud noise. Talk to your local counselor. Express your concerns. Talk to the local media. Express your concerns. Squeaky wheel gets the wheel. The wheel, they get the grease. They already have a wheel. They're squeaky. But I feel your pain. I can't stand people who put others at risk. That's why I'm a traffic cop, because I want to change their behavior. What can you do if you feel unsafe and that a cop may be overusing their power? Well, you've given me an allegation or a situation that doesn't have enough information for me to really give you any opinion. I don't know what thinking or feeling unsafe is and why, and because some people are unsafe, like they're at home and they feel unsafe. They could be inside of an area in a vault and feel unsafe, and that could be how you feel because of whatever's going on in your life. If you feel unsafe because someone is threatening you, this is very different. Now, if you say cop may be overusing their power, well, that's an interpretation. That may not be the fact, but feeling it, there's nothing to do with the police. Comply with the police directions. That's my suggestion to you. If you feel like that was an abuse of power, contact a lawyer, contact a supervisor, contact an oversight jurisdictional, like it used to be OIPRD, they've rebranded. I don't know the new name. It doesn't come to my mind, even though I talked about it yesterday. Anyway, make a complaint. You can do that after the event. But if you refuse and fight police, additional charges tend to be the result. And I don't mean they give you a ticket that they weren't going to give you. I mean, you might get arrested. You might be charged with other things. It depends on what. I'm extrapolating a whole story based on your comments that were very vague. Okay. I am moving along. We talked about this. My car before seatbelt law. If you have a vehicle that predates seatbelt laws, you don't need seatbelts. But I can tell you that no seatbelts is more dangerous than seatbelts. So I would add them. I mean, if it's a classic car, you don't want to put holes in things and add seatbelts. I get it for value, but maybe that shouldn't be on the road. But it's not safe. Seatbelts are really the best way to keep you in a vehicle. But I can appreciate how it would be less cool to have a 1950s car with no seatbelts suddenly having seatbelts, except for the fact that it's about safety. Emma, thank you, or M. We're not saying because you don't say with Porsche, so I can't call you Emma anymore. It's just M. Thank you for reminding people to put a Q. We talked about that. What's the penalty for no muffler? It's $110. But if it's no muffler, not only could you get the $110 for no muffler, you might get the $110 for unnecessary noise too. I want to remove the rear bumper of my 2000 Tacoma for a cleaner look. Is this legal? I think your vehicle would require a bumper. Certain vehicles, commercial vehicles don't, but I believe that your Tacoma wouldn't qualify for that. I would check with a mechanic for legality for them, whether they could certify it without. What do you feel? So I'm glad that they rephrased their question by putting a letter Q in front of it. Mind you, it was a long time ago, but still. I still need to know more about that one. Do they say anything there? I'll get to it in a second. What do we have here? Hermes says to Mr. World, the issue is that this case you can't prove in court speed your neighbor. Okay, so in terms of complaining about your neighbors speeding, no, your report won't result in a ticket being issued because we need to measure the speed. You saying they were going fast doesn't mean anything, unfortunately. But what we can do is we can have a unit complaints coordinator or a traffic complaints officer attend the area and wait to try and catch them. And that's the issue. The issue is we have to catch them. Stunt driving or Like burnouts is stuff we can use your video or evidence to start a process. Video being the better of the two. But speed, they went fast. How do you know they went fast? It looked fast. I can't lay a charge based on that. Okay, I'm scrolling back, and now we're up to date. We're up to date. Stuff that I cut and paste is gone. Some of it was dialogue, so I skipped through it. This looks like a shot glass, and this is a big cup compared to the cup I had last night. They literally had like little ones. Espresso, not espresso. It's espresso. All right, scrolling through, catching up. I'm not following this question because I'm seeing it out of context. So I don't get what you're talking about. Maybe somebody can fill me in as to what the question is because it looks like I've missed the other half. Oh, I think I found it. Scrolling back. I scrolled too far. No. Where is it? Impede traffic. I'm trying to find the beginning. I can't find the beginning. Okay, so I'm going to stop looking for the start of the question. We're just going to go to what I jumped into. How do you? Okay, so this user, Ghost 09090900. How do you feel about me driving in the middle of Toronto, watching and texting you right now? I think that you should lose your license. I think you should never drive again. Why? Why would you do such a silly thing? And that you would then brag about it to try and get a rise out of me. No, I mean, hopefully I can get you doing a response so that someone can catch you doing it and give you the $615 ticket, 3 demerit points, and a 3-day suspension that you so definitely deserve if you're actually doing it. But somehow I don't believe you. Somehow I think you're at home in your mother's basement and trying to sound tough. But, that's just me making assumptions. Okay. But don't text and drive. It's not worth it. And I say that because there's no undo button when you kill someone. And that's what happens when people do dumb stuff like texting and driving. All too often, bad things like that happen. All right. How low can you have your car? We talked about this yesterday at the Porsche event. And the deal is that there are maximums and minimums as to the distance between your headlights and the ground for certification purposes, for safety. Generally speaking, when police officers pull you over, they're looking for body to tire or body to or frame to tire contact when you make a lock-to-lock thing. So if you cannot turn your wheels lock-to-lock or if there's any evidence of contact, that's an unsafe motor vehicle. We're pulling your plates. And what's the penalty? We talked about this. Ukraine says, I'm from Ontario, Ottawa. Hello, Ontario, Ottawa. I am not from Ontario, Ottawa. I'm from Ontario, Toronto. It's just, but I appreciate the shout out and the hello. And Ark says hello. Hello. Question from Cam says, at what age can you have a 0.08 balance? I heard and read it's 21. 0.8 balance is where or blood alcohol content is when you get arrested. 0.08 is go get arrested, criminal charges for impaired operation. Well, not for impaired operation, for having, it's actually, impaired operation is based on behavior and observations of your conduct. And it 0.08 means you're at the limit where you get charged for having that much alcohol in your blood. If you're 0.079, 0.05 to 0.079, you're going to get a warning suspension of either, originally 3 days and then 7 days if it's the second time, or if you've done it before within last 10 years. I think what you're actually wanting to know is that when can you have more than 0? Because 0 to 0.049 is if you are 22 and above with a full license. So if you're a learner, you can't have any. If you're someone with a full G but under the age of 22, you can't have any alcohol. The answer would be full G license or full M license can have more than 0, but less than 0.049 if they're 22 and above. Yeah, that confuses people so much. Because the way it was originally written was 21 or over 21 as opposed to 22 and over. So it confuses people. They've now changed the wording actually to under 22. You cannot have alcohol if you are under 22. What speed should be maintained on highway with Ford GT 5.0? The speed limit. That's an easy one. Whatever the number is on the sign. What is this? See, look at that. Emma's on it. Like there was the answer, like boom. See? Everything I just said. She knows it. And Hermes has the right answer too. See, whatever the speed limit is. I love it. Great. See, it's great when everybody's on the right page. Here's a great question, and apparently I cut and pasted. Did I cut and paste that? I think I did. What happens when you have a collision, not an accident, and the other person doesn't have insurance? That's why you have insurance. Your insurance covers you. They may try and sue that person, but person with no insurance means that your insurance covers everything. So many people, wants to know about cell phones and drive-thrus. We'll talk about it again. We talked about it already. Do you find there's more or less people moving into law enforcement? I think more people want to have an internet startup. I think more people want executive bathroom access. Policing's hard work, and it means working shift work and in the rain and in the snow and putting your life at risk. And I think there's a lot of negative spin that the media has put on policing, and it's made it less attractive. I grew up, everybody wanted to be a cop. And I mean that, I'm exaggerating. When I was a kid, every kid wants to be a cop or a firefighter or some kind of hero. And I think we get that beaten out of us metaphorically by the media, especially now. Like it has definitely changed. But the truth is that we are still people helping people. We need people helping people. And so many of us in the community, not the policing community, but the general community, would rather videotape people getting hurt than actually stand up and help people and prevent them from getting hurt. We need police. And you could be the right person to help others. And it's a great career. It is not only fun and rewarding, it's necessary. Hopefully we'll bring more people to it. All right. I see, I flagged a couple, but I want to grab this one from Truth. I see a few cops on their phone while driving or not fully stopping at red light while making right. Yeah, it happens. Well, first of all, we're legally permitted to use the phone while driving. There's an exemption for police, fire, and ambulance. In terms of rolling stops, no, they should absolutely come to a proper stop. There's no excuse for that. Who enforces the signs? What kind of sign? Hey, officer, why do you give tickets for no reason? The ticket would say the reason on it. Like, you have to have a reason. There's no charge for nothing. But maybe you did something you didn't realize you did. Well, you got to give me a better question to that, because obviously you're not being accurate. But like I can't write nothing. Here's the ticket to Bob for nothing. Sorry, I find your question amusing. What is this? Villain 19. So obviously pro-police. Says here, love how you can read all these comments but can't read the right address. What address are we talking about? Daniel Abraham says he sits here and he answers the easy questions. Daniel, do you have tough questions? I answered traffic questions. You want to ask about life, the universe, and everything. I'm not qualified. I am not from another realm. I'm not a lawyer, a doctor. I can't tell you how to fix your plumbing. I talk about traffic stuff. I talk about the traffic stuff I know. And if you've got questions, and I don't know if you have any questions other than to poke at people who are doing their job, I'm happy to discuss them. Bring it. Mark, what does Mark have to say? What happens when you come to a stop at a light or sign, stop bar, but need to go forward to see the traffic before you go? You come to a complete stop in the appropriate place, and then you can proceed if it's safe to do so. That's how it works. You want to make a right turn at a red, you come to a complete stop before the stop line, before the sidewalk, before the edge of roadway, depending on what's there. Every intersection is going to be different. And then you can proceed to move forward into the intersection slowly, cautiously, to make sure it's safe to proceed. Speeding tickets everywhere. I'd like to see tickets everywhere. People who speed need tickets. If you're charged, it's a reason they don't want your money. It's just rules and regulations. Justin DJ 46. You're absolutely right. We don't make money from tickets. We don't get a bonus, a free toaster, or a vacation in Aruba. We do it because we want to change your behavior and stop you from breaking the law. But people assume that we're doing it because it's some kind of profit-making pyramid scheme. It's all about the money. It's all about the cash. It's all about people just don't want to be responsible for themselves. I don't even know what I pressed, but are there two different charges for failing to obey a sign? It's a moving. Yeah, so disobey sign, not failing to obey, but disobey sign. But it could also be, it could be that, or it could be something else. But it is a moving violation. Can I speed up to speed limit as fast as I want? Depends. If you're being reckless in that, if you're breaking traction, if you're scaring the heck out of everybody on the road, you hit the gas and then the family grabs each other and pulls themselves away from the road because you're being reckless or endangering life potentially. Even if you stop at 60, but you do a burnout and then get to 60, like that's stunt driving, the burnout. It all depends. Why anyone wants to do something as dangerous as accelerating rapidly for no reason other than to have fun. I get it. It's fun. I can remember my buddy got his, what the heck was it? It's a Dodge Magnum, and it was the whatever the top of the line was, like the super duper. I remember him hitting the gas in that car, and the feeling of my entire body becoming one with the seat, and the mad grin that I had. That was just like, it was awesome, and totally legal, and we were much, much younger. Let's see here. Looking for more questions. Want to hear from the people who think I'm picking the easy questions. Talked about that. Do you love your job? I absolutely, positively love my job. I do. I loved it even more when I was on a motorcycle. That was prior to being hit by a car when on a police motorcycle. But I love being a cop. I love helping people. That's what I do. That's what I did then. That's what I do now. It just happens to be a different background. It's a little warm in the office today, but I still love it. Can you explain the new MTO vehicle safeties? I can't because I haven't read about them. We're not the MTO, so the vehicle safeties are done by them. They are the pros in that realm. Can you ride an electric bicycle at 12 on a trail? Electric bicycle is a bicycle if it qualifies as an e-bike. There may be bylaws in communities that prevent access to a trail. Like it's a park, and parks usually close at 11. So you could be trespassed for being there. I don't know where, and every jurisdiction is going to be different. Why is the speed limit only 60 in main roads? 60 is fast. In fact, most of our main roads are being reduced to 50, 40, 30 because we want to protect vulnerable road users like pedestrians and cyclists and skateboarders and anybody else who uses the road that isn't in a car or motorcycle. On a motorcycle, not in a motorcycle. That would be uncomfortable. But anyway, faster is not safer. Slower is safer. You lose reaction time, which means you are going to travel a greater distance prior to stopping based on how fast you're going. The faster you go, the longer it takes to stop, and the more damage you do because you're driving more inertia, more energy forward that has to be, reduced. That's basically it. So we know that pedestrians will survive at 30 or have a high likelihood of survival at 30 kilometer an hour collision. They have very low chances of surviving at 60, and it's almost eliminated as you go above 60. So that's the answer to make it safer. Daniel with the hard questions, all in caps, angry Daniel. Having a sign that says you have to turn left, which creates the most accidents. Having a sign that says you have to turn left, which creates the most accidents. Daniel, your question makes no sense. It's hard because of the way you've written it, not because it's a question. It's because I can't understand what you've written. So please rephrase it, and I'll do my best to understand what the heck you're talking about. I guess he was right. I tend not to answer the tough questions that are written poorly. He follows up in caps, which is yelling, by the way, for those who don't know what internet etiquette is wild, loudly. He says it wildly. Or loudly. Loudly. Let's see here. I called Nissan Canada and transferred my call, and the guy was asking for my SIN, which is social insurance number, when I asked why. You don't give people your SIN. And why would you call me? What is this in relation to a loan, like the loan department? Because you leased it? If you're calling them and you know who they are, maybe that's the way they're verifying your information, but it sounds fishy. Yeah, I don't give people my SIN number. Daniel now loudly says, yes. Again, not very helpful, but thank you for, I guess, participating and helping the algorithm. Let's see here. Thanks, Em. Taking care of Daniel's emotions. It was them who called. Okay, now I understand. 1 second, scrolling back. So it wasn't you didn't call Nissan. Nissan called you and asked for you. Yeah. If someone, here's the deal. Quick thing on scams, because scams are, although not my department, it is something I'm passionate about and letting people know whenever I find a new one. If someone calls you and wants information, my answer, if I'm not in a bad mood, is something to the effect of, thank you for letting me know. I will be calling the number on my credit card or on my lease or in my phone back. May I have your number and extension and user employee number so I can get back to you to discuss this? They don't actually have anything to give you. They hang up. Mind you, when they call to ask if I want my ducts cleaned, I love those, and I tell them I'm waiting, and you have yet to arrive. And they say, "What? Wait!" And they transfer me to their boss because they think it's a sale. And I said, "Thank you for calling me. I've been waiting for you for days. I live on the 14th floor, and you guys are stuck on the first floor. Hurry up!" And they hang up on me. I waste their time like they waste my time, except I have more fun with them, possibly. Yeah, like I don't live in a condo, but I'm always on the 14th floor. Try it. It works great. Failing to signal should be $1,000 and 3 demerits. It's annoying. It's $110, but I totally get what you're. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I have many frustrations regarding traffic offenses. Yesterday's song was the Pet Peeve song. I'll play this later. You've inspired me. How do you detect radar detectors? I have one myself and haven't been caught yet. Joanne. So there's radar detectors that some jurisdictions use. First of all, we use laser more often than not, and good luck trying to catch that because you have to actually detect the light. And while it's possible that your detector will detect the light, it's momentary pulse, which means I pull the trigger when I'm pointed at you, and only then do we distribute the laser light, at which point you might get a warning, which is too late. I've already got my reading. And radar detectors, we very rarely use radar, but when we do, oddly enough, if it's turned on and you hit the brakes, we tend to catch you because we pay attention. We're making observations. We don't just wait. We don't sit staring at a box waiting to be told who to pull over. We're making observations and confirming our observations with a device that measures your speed. Also, again, radar being the lesser of the used devices, we focus on laser. We're making observations, and there's something called a jammer. The jammer produces a signal that basically produces a fake speed. So if I am trying to determine your speed, it might suggest that you're going slower. Oddly enough, if I confirm that you're moving at the same speed of the vehicle next to you, I know how fast you're going because they likely don't have a jammer. But lucky for you, you haven't been caught yet. But there's always time. What do you think about ALK? I think he's funny. I think he uses the fact that the interactions caused a lot of people to ask about it. I was actually checking out some of his videos because I go through and I look at videos that I'm tagged in, and I saw a whole bunch of them where he had dialogue. He faked a bunch of the dialogue. Like I went and actually when he said, "Why are you following me?" and a whole bunch of expletives. I actually wrote to him saying, "I think you have great content. Like I think you're funny." But that's it. I don't follow him. I do follow a lot of creators. I have thousands of people I follow because I like supporting local creators, which he is one of them. I don't actually follow him now. I don't know if that's because he unfollowed me from following him, or if I unfollowed him. I may have followed him at one point. Not from a perspective of police following a criminal or a suspect, just because he's a funny Canadian creator. But he's taken it. He may actually, like, if he's not joking, because I think he's a comedian. If he's not a comedian, he's got some problems. But otherwise, I think he's fine. Blue Bludgeon Jonas. That suggests violence. Someone says, yeah, answer about corruption and scummery in TPS. Go look at the news. You can watch it yourself. There's nothing for me to comment. There are people who do bad things, who are policemen, firemen, paramedics, lawyers, doctors, clergy. There are bad people who wear uniforms or are members of organizations. The organization isn't bad. The bad actors within the organization are bad. And you know who doesn't like those people? The good people. Do you know what happens to them? The bad people, they get held accountable. And then you read about them in the news. We're not hiding it. We're the first ones to talk about it. In fact, I'm pretty sure we're obligated to. Daniel, still in all caps, talking about Shaw Street. No idea what he's talking about. Let's see here. Justin says, I'm just nice. I guess I don't want to aggravate the cops. Not worth it. Aaron says Truth says to Aaron, MTO doesn't have authority to pull you over. Yes, they do. They're the people who issue a driver's license. You're using their roads effectively. You absolutely have to pull over for them. We talked about this. We talked about that. When are they going to do a Ask a Cyber Detective live stream? If there's a cyber detective who wants to get online, we could totally do that. They could probably do it themselves because they're cyber sleuths and could do this easily. Yeah. Daniel says, listen, you addressed me, but not the question. I think I addressed the fact that your question made no sense. Thus, I asked you to rephrase, and I would happily address a question that was formally. You don't even use punctuation. Like, ask the question in a way that I can break it down. Like how anyone could break it down. Because right now you're just yelling. So calm down. Ask the question. Happy to help you. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help, even you. Can I ride my electric scooter on a sidewalk and without a helmet? Pro Tree videos. No and no. A helmet's required for e-kick scooters and e-bikes. And electric scooters are prohibited in the city of Toronto from being used anywhere, despite the fact that they're everywhere. $110 fine. That's one of the reasons the officer called me this morning, was to get the code to write the ticket for the person pulled over. And what else? And if your scooter goes more than 24 kilometers an hour, it's no longer an e-kick scooter. So now you're considered driving a motor vehicle under the Highway Traffic Act. If it has a seat, it's a motorcycle. So, I mean, you're looking at no insurance, no license, no everything. So just don't use them in Toronto. Okay. What is this? Oh, tagged you in a video posted by Manuch. I'll check it out. I don't know what that is, but I'll look at it. Louis Villacorta? If I refuse a breath test for religious beliefs, what happens? You get charged criminally for refusing a breath test. You can dispute it and take it to court, but you're going to be charged criminally for refuse to provide or comply with a lawful demand for a breath sample or test. Roadside screening device, these are all legitimate demands. So if you don't provide a breath sample, if you don't comply with a roadside sobriety test, if you don't deal with a drug recognition expert's evaluation, then you're going to get charged. So it's in your best interest to comply, and you can call a lawyer. Like there is an opportunity at some point to call a lawyer. I would suggest complying, and if you really believe strongly, get some legal advice. But it's not going to go well if you refuse. Can a person be charged with tailgating? Yes. Yes, you can. It's called follow too close or following too closely. Daniel yells again, Shaw Street southbound at College, forced to turn left. Okay. I guess you can't go straight. What's the question? Other than that's a statement. Again, no punctuation, all in caps, and getting annoying. If I pump air into my bicycle tire in public and it explodes, is that public endangerment? I don't think so. If you intentionally do it with the purpose of doing that, like there's mens rea, you're doing it to purposefully put people in harm's way. But if you just pump air into your tire because you have a low tire, no. Speeding is not breaking the law. Rock news. Well, my friend, you are part of the fake news because speeding is absolutely breaking the law. It is against the law. Yes, it is against the law. Daniel is a fraud. You heard it here first, folks. He's admitted to it. Shasha, I can't read that. Hi, office. I think he forgot the R. Had a break-in entry in our home with 2 cars stolen. Family's pretty shaken up. Any tips? First off, I'm sorry to hear that happened. It is terrible that we have such a rampant criminal entity or entities operating and victimizing people. It's very, very, it's a violation. People were more often feel violated more than the loss of anything. It's the fact that people have entered your home, taken your stuff, and you're left doing all the work to put the pieces together. So I'm very sorry for the experience that you're going through. Obviously, deal with the police, get the reports in, deal with your insurance, start putting your stuff back together. And if you haven't looked at talking to a local officer about something called CPTED, crime prevention through environmental design, get some advice from them. I mean, we've done some podcasts about car theft, but there's other elements to look at. And this sort of, not that there's a positive lightning, there's no silver lining on this, but now that you've been through it, you're likely motivated to do a bunch of different things to prevent it from happening again. So get some advice and try and do everything you can to make yourself less susceptible to these criminals in the future. But again, very sorry. If you need more, you can go to trafficcop.ca, send me a link. I'm happy to try and connect you with a local law enforcement officer who might be able to give you some advice. Okay. Denise says, good morning, Sean from Calgary, Alberta. I hope the weather is nice in Calgary. It's nice here, but it's probably nicer where you are. But good morning to you. Thanks for making this an interprovincial show. Let's see what we got here. Where did cops giving tickets at the end of the month for quotas come from? Is it a joke? I don't know. Now, if there is a quota, which there isn't here, but if there's somewhere that actually has a quota, and I don't know anywhere that has one, it would make sense that, at the end of the month, they might tally the tickets, and Bob doesn't want to be in last place because, you get to eat the extra Timbit if you're in first place. Like, what are they going to give us? They pay us to go out and write tickets. They don't tell us we don't get $1 per ticket. We're not paid based on the number of tickets we write. We get paid to do what we do. Now, I can tell you that I know police officers who have not written tickets since they were rookies. They focus on other things. They keep themselves busy, but they focus on other things. I know cops who write lots of tickets, and those tickets are very specific. They only go after stunt drivers. They write giant reams of paper cases against these people who are going after major violators. But then there's people who, don't do stunt driving, but they focus on cell phones. Some of them do a little bit of everything, but there's no incentive to do more. Like if I write 2 stunt driving or 3 stunt driving tickets in a day, and someone else writes 10 cell phone tickets, and somebody else does 25 or 50 tickets for 15 over, and at the end of the day, we spent the same amount of time enforcing laws, we've all done the same work. It's not about the number of tickets at all. And I don't know where it came from. And there is no quota in Toronto or anywhere else that I've ever heard of. So somebody probably was just, making a allegation to say that, it wasn't really me doing a bad thing. Just that quotas. He was trying to get the free toaster. I mean, come on. Let's see here. Can my boyfriend, full G, drive my car even though he's not insured in case where I'm not feeling well? So if you're both together, absolutely. Unless unless you as the insured party is being told that your boyfriend can't drive. Like there are times when there are named people who the insurance company won't cover for whatever reason. I've never actually seen that, but it could happen. It doesn't affect us. As police officers, I pull you over, you show me a license, you show me proof of insurance, you're permitted to drive a car based on the fact that the vehicle is insured and the person driving it is properly licensed. That's it. But could an insurance company deny you a claim? They could. If you got into a collision and they said, well, we said your boyfriend couldn't use it, but he's using it, so that probably wouldn't be the case. If you live together, they probably want him on the policy. Unless he has his own vehicle and his own policy, at which point that wouldn't be an issue. Oh, Daniel stopped using caps. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad you're paying attention. Now we just need to work on punctuation, but I still don't know what your question is. What do we have here? Jamie had the same question. We just talked about this. No, we don't have a quota. What happens during early resolution? It's an opportunity to meet with a prosecutor and say, hey, before I go to court, I want to understand what's going on and if you're going to offer me a deal. And they may say, oh, well, listen, you were doing 20 over. We'll reduce it down to 14 over, so there's no or 15 over, so there's no points. We want it. And you can say, yes, no, we're going to court. It's a discussion. I don't know what goes on in those discussions because I'm not privy to them. I'm not part of the early resolution. It's a way for the courts to get you out of the court system, right, to prevent you from wasting taxpayer money going to court. So it's a way of getting rid of it and possibly negotiating it down. You are not obligated to take their deal. You can absolutely choose to take it to court. Tagged me in a video. I will totally check it out. Oh, somebody's offside here. Therese says, thank you, everyone, for tagging me. Oh, cool. I don't know what they tagged you about, but cool. What is this? You're not looking for nothing. Huh? I went to court and the officer wouldn't draw points at all for anyone. The officer doesn't draw points for anyone. It's the court who decides what's happening. Like it's entirely, well, the court decides what they're going to proceed on, and then the ministry actually applies points based on whatever you plead guilty to. Daniel, I'm sorry you're having a bad day. Let's see here. Is Daniel still here? Here. We'll take a break from Daniel. He's muted for a few minutes. He can come back in 5 minutes if he's calmed down. What is this? Roads are for cars. Take your skateboards to the park. Actually, skateboards are not legal on the road. Little known fact, they are not road legal. And you could be charged. Linda says, good morning, hero. Love you all. Thank you so much, Linda. Much appreciate your support. Let's see here. All right. We talked about that. In the area I live, all the speed cameras have been either cut down or spray painted. There are people vandalizing them. Absolutely. They're changing technology. And I hope that they put cameras in place to catch people who vandalize cameras. I just hope they catch the people. That's criminality at its best. Trying to specifically make the roads less safe and then trying to vandalize the systems that are in place to try and make them safer. It's absolute stupidity. What is this? Are you able to answer any questions for applicants? Oops, wrong button. What kind of questions you got? I mean, the best person to talk about employment is going to be a police officer who works in employment, but I'm happy to help where I can. If you got questions, throw them at me. All right. A kid in Saskatoon. We talked about it like an hour and 20 minutes ago, so we'll talk about it again quickly. A kid in Saskatoon got a ticket for being on his phone on a McDonald's drive-thru to open the app. That's what the news said originally. The RCMP has come out and made a public announcement that the police officer observed the driver of that motor vehicle using their cell phone on public roads prior to entering the parking lot, which he could then continue to use his phone and open his app. He hadn't actually gotten into the drive-thru. He was in the parking lot proper, from my understanding. But the observations, according to the RCMP, were that they took place on the road and not initially in the parking lot, which is good to know. Because I was researching, and I spoke about it on the radio, on News Talk 1010, and I said, maybe the laws are different there. Maybe because in Ontario, you can't get a ticket for that. We don't enforce the Highway Traffic Act, except for certain charges like stunt driving and on private property. So speeding and distracted driving and licensing, that all can't be laid on private property. Okay. So hopefully I answered that question for you. I started reading and I'm like, did I actually? I don't know. Question. Red light, cross ticket. If I meet with a prosecutor, does it affect my driving license or insurance? The conviction, if you meet with a prosecutor and the result of that meeting is that you plead guilty to an offense, the guilty plea, the registered conviction, will go on your record, and that could, in fact, affect your insurance. So, yes, it could. If they decide to give you something that is like a much lesser charge, like if you go in there with, I don't know, careless driving and they give you a start from stop, not in safety, that would be a far less impactful charge on your license, but it would still affect your license. What's the penalty for not wearing your seatbelt? I believe it's $240 and points if you're the driver. If you're under 16, the driver gets it. If you're over 16 or 16 or over, the individual gets it. Linda says, thank you for all you do for us. It's my pleasure. Bregna likes my watch. Thank you. It's an Apple Watch. I know what you're talking about. What's the purpose? Okay. Is it wrong to drive with a G1? Only if you're alone, breaking the law. Let's see here. How do you calibrate laser speed guns? We actually test to make sure that they're working in accordance with the manual. We don't calibrate. Calibration is done by a specialist. Police officers are not specialists. We don't open these things up and stick screwdrivers in them. We know that if the computer system fails, they don't function at all. They just cease to work. They have an internal testing procedure or system. So if you pull the button and it registers, starts up, and activates, we know it's working. What we're really doing is testing fixed measurements to make sure they're accurate. Like if we have an area that we measure from the wall to where I'm standing is this distance, and we measure it, it's not that distance, well, it's not working. We also make sure that the reticle, that the lenses are aligned properly so that we know we're aiming at the appropriate vehicle. So we do that at the beginning, at the end of every shift, and that's the extent of what we do with them. Okay, what is this? Why should no signal change cost? I don't understand the question. This is sort of a question from it's. I know, still no punctuation, still yelling, but what's the purpose of can't go straight southbound Shad College? I did not design the road. I did not make the rules there. It is probably to prevent people from going down the road to ease congestion or reduce traffic in a particular neighborhood because the neighborhood doesn't want it as a through road, whether it be in front of a school or what have you. So they've made a decision there. So yes, there are streets that are one way. There are streets that have no entry. They have streets that have timed, conditional times when you can enter because they don't want cars there. And I don't know the specific reason for that specific intersection, but I'm glad that we finally worked out and got a question that I could answer for you. Okay. Don Thompson says, is it a full, did it go away? Where'd it go? Is it a full today? Or are people just off their, it's a different day. It's Friday. It's been a hard week. All right. He knows he's wrong. He's purposely avoiding the question. He's answering the one off random. No. Anyway, I thought we dealt with this. Do you think motorcycle insurance is ridiculously high? Across the border is way lower. So insurance is a private company. They provide their services based on the calculation of risk and what they determine your risk to be to them. It's expensive. Try a different company. If they are all expensive, it's maybe not the right motorcycle, right time, right qualification. Like they consider age, sex, location where you live, location where you work, how many kilometers you're going to do, the type of motorcycle you're going to do, the experience you have. They mix that into a pot and they come out with a magical number. And if it works for you, it's worth it. And if it doesn't, like everyone's insurance is going up right now. It's terrible. Mostly because terrible drivers, the ones who speed and stunt drive and cause death, and then people go and make claims on those, and then the insurance companies spend lots of money paying off those, and you and I all pay for this insurance rate increase because of the dum-dums who break the law. This is, people talk about, I want to be able to go fast. I bought a car with a big speedometer. I want to use all of it. Like all this tough guy baloney is contributing to insurance rates going up. Not because they're being tough online, because they're doing dumb stuff on the road. Yeah, but I try my best to convey that. Nobody seems to get it. I shouldn't say that. We have a large community of people who totally get it. The vast majority of people get it. But that's why insurance rates are going up. And I'm a motorcycle guy. Like I just canceled my motorcycle insurance because I wanted to reduce my premiums. They actually raised them. Not because I did anything, just because, we're going to reevaluate. Oh, look at that. We can increase it. I got a speeding ticket in February, or I got a $226 speeding ticket in February. How long before it's done? If you paid it then you have points for 3 years. 2 years for your points and 3 years for your conviction until it's off your current. If I used a bicycle without a helmet, what is the probability of a cop pulling me over? If you're under the age of 18, probably low, because if you're like on the cusp, if you look like you're 18, we probably wouldn't be able to identify you as someone who should be wearing a helmet because you have to wear it if you're under 18. If you are riding an e-bike, you're not wearing a helmet, then I would totally pull you over because you're required by law to wear a helmet if you are if you're riding one. So I couldn't speculate. Like you could pass by 100 cops who are busy and get the one cop, your 101st cop who was going to pull you over. You could be unlucky and get pulled over by the first cop who sees you. But here's the real thing. Why don't you just wear a helmet? It is the best way to protect your head in the event of a collision. And we're not preventing collisions with helmets, despite the twisting of words from members of the bicycle community who don't like when I say wear a helmet. It protects your head in the event of a collision. It doesn't stop the collision. It tries to reduce the chance of brain damage. People have died because they fell over standing up. And then this is what always the puffy chest, bicycling community rep says. Well, then people who walk should wear helmets. I'm like, ideally, yes. Yes, you would reduce your chance of head injury if you fell down while walking. It's true. It's silly, but it's true. But when you're propelling yourself through space and time on a bicycle, my sci-fi version, when you're riding down the street at 20 kilometers an hour and you fly off your bike, the chance of head injury is quite serious and high likelihood. What do you think of the RCMP? I think they have more letters than TPS. They're federal. They have cool uniforms. They have more horses, I think, than we do. But they're just cops, and just like us, we're all on the same team. I have friends that are RCMP. I have friends that are OPP. I have friends that are Toronto, New York, and we're just all on the same team. We talked to Anthony. I already talked about this a couple times, so I'm not ignoring you when you ask about the guy who got his ticket. But just rewind. Go to YouTube. You can watch it again. We talked about it a couple of times. He was actually. It's alleged that he was using it on the road prior to entering the private property where he was eventually ticketed. Extortionist. Are you suggesting that if I hold you accountable for the dumb stuff you do, I'm extorting you for money? No, it's not true. We're here to change behavior. How else do we get you to stop doing dumb stuff on the road? It's unsafe. Okay. What's the protocol for if you got an upset stomach and you're driving? Can I speed to a washroom? No, you can't break the law. You pull over somewhere. You pull over. You go to the first place. You go to any commercial space, any gas station. I mean, I have used. I am. It is not a flattering thing. I remember being in downtown Toronto at a gas station, and whatever I ate did not work. It needed out. And I went into the washroom, and I remember the sheer horror. It was the most disgusting washroom I have ever experienced in my life. And what made matters worse, there was no toilet paper. I took care of business with my underwear and threw it out. Like, it was disgusting. But you do what you got to do. But you don't speed to a nicer bathroom. Like there was no making more time. Like things had to happen. I've never told that story on the show. I'm glad to have. I feel better having shared that. All right, let's see here. Wait, is he still talking? Is he back? I thought we muted him. I thought he learned. No, okay. What do you do if someone's trying to break into your apartment? No, that's not what it disappeared. The question was, what do you do? Things are coming back so quickly that I have to grab them that I was too slow. But they said, what do you do if someone's trying to break into your apartment? My suggestion would be to not wait for them on the other side of that door. If you can barricade it a little bit, throw something behind it, great. I would go to an inner room. I would call police immediately and let them know what's going on, give them the play-by-play. I would put something in front of the door that you are in because you are trying to protect yourself, not your stuff. I know people are worried about their stuff. Worry about the people in your life. Lock the door, put something in front of it, heavy, be in front of it, and wait for police because that's not a fight you want to be in. Let's see here. No, that's not the one I wanted, but I was too slow. Somebody said, what do you do if you get a ticket and they reduce it? And I didn't even finish reading it, but it's like, speeding negotiation. I want to talk about this. And I don't know where it is. Draco Malfoy. You're the one that pulled me over for no plates in McDonald's drive-thru. You remember that? I for no plates in the McDonald's drive-thru? In the McDonald's drive-thru? I don't think it was me. What year was it? That's a better question, Draco. Let's see. Let's see if your reality is the same as mine. But I don't recall ever pulling anybody over in the drive-thru, McDonald's drive-thru. That's funny though. Wayne says, it's a great show, officer. Keep it up. Thank you very much, Wayne. I appreciate the support. Let's see here. Cops writing tickets based on a sign creates traffic and accidents. It's immoral. Hold on. Back up. We got to back this up. Writing a ticket to someone who broke the law by disobeying a sign that is regulated and is the instruction that drivers and riders have to obey, and holding people accountable for following the law is immoral? Really? How about speed limits? Should those be enforced? How about criminal code offenses? Should we enforce those? If you're breaking the law, you're breaking the law. It's not immoral. Follow the rules or don't be on our roads. Simple. The level of entitlement, I can't get over it. I missed it. Okay, so hold on. Tyler Como says, I just got my motorcycle and then I lost that question because it disappeared while I was losing my mind on Buddy. But I missed your initial question. Could you ask it again? It disappeared. Let's see here. Got a speeding ticket. Okay. I'm right now at 11:17. We're at 11:34. I'm 15 minutes behind. And because there's so many questions, they're coming in fast and furious, and they're disappearing before I can get to them. Yamdoot says, if I got a speeding ticket, what are the chances they'll offer to remove the demerit points in court? Depends on your speeding ticket. If it's 15 kilometers, there's no points. 16 kilometers and above is where points start. Very often, I see people negotiating to reduce to the lower. So if you're eligible for 4 points, sometimes people will negotiate to 3 points, 3 points to no points. It happens. I don't know what the likelihood is. Can you drive and smoke normal cigarettes while driving? As long as it's not a work vehicle, because Smoke Free Ontario Act does not allow you to smoke while in a work vehicle, and as long as there's nobody under the age of 16 in the motor vehicle, because that is against the law as well. Can we drive dirt bikes on the side of the road or sidewalks? No. Dirt bikes are not allowed at all. And also, just another thing about that, removing demerit points, the speed determines the demerit points. We don't remove demerit points. Like you can't say, I will happily plead guilty if you can remove the demerit points. The courts don't put demerit points in. The ministry associates demerit points with the conviction that you have pled guilty to. So they cannot remove demerit points. They can only allow you to plead to a lesser included offense, a lesser offense that doesn't have points. And they often do that. But remember that any conviction it will impact your insurance. Points don't impact your insurance. Convictions impact your insurance. So if you forgot your license at home and you get a ticket for that, that can impact your insurance. It's a minor. It may take multiple times of minor offenses being recorded, but any conviction impacts your insurance. MTO cares about points because if you accumulate too many points, you'll be suspended. Different thing, not insurance related. Points are not related to your insurance. Did I answer that one, or did I may have just put that off the screen before even answering it? My goodness. Is it against the? Come on. Someone says, "What did he say? Please do your job." What should I do if I see an officer using a phone? Focus on your driving. Police officers, fire department drivers, ambulance operators, they are legally permitted to use their phone, along with ham radio operators. They can use their devices. They're exempt. under the law, they're exempt. But specifically police officers, I have a police-issued telephone for police business, and I often have to use it. And if I have to use it in the course of my duties, I can articulate why. In fact, I'm all dispatched by police. Like the dispatcher tells me where to go, and they're communicating with me here. Very often, the radio is not the way we communicate. It's being dispatched by way of things. So anyway, legally allowed to use it. You're welcome to complain. It'll be investigated, and they'll see that it was lawful use. Do I go into an HOV lane to turn right? HOV lanes are to turn right. HOV lanes are usually on controlled access highways, which means right turns. They're on the left side. If you're talking about a multi-use diamond lane in the city of Toronto, yes, you do enter that multi-use diamond lane to make a right turn. You just can't continue past the next intersection. Skateboard must be the problem. Don't know what we're talking about. Is it true that traffic laws don't apply in private parking lots? It depends what we're talking about. Stunt driving applies in private parking lots, but cell phone and driver's license and signaling and stop signs don't apply in private parking lots. So it depends. So we talked about this. RCMP came out and said that they were actually using it on the road. They were observed on the road using their cell phone, then entered the parking lot, continued using it, and got charged for their use on the road, not their use in the parking lot. Our underglow, we don't get the underglow questions very often. Like the last couple of years, it's been big time on underglow. Now, I guess they're less popular. They're not specifically illegal, but if they're installed in such a way that their light is being projected outwards and seen to the front, the back, or the sides, you may find yourself getting a ticket. If you're only illuminating the ground directly beneath the vehicle and it's not terribly distracting, you probably will never have a problem. If it's flashing red, if it's flashing blue, if it's flashing green, those are restricted colors. But the biggest problem is when the lights, when it's a poor installation job and they're not tucked up way underneath the car, then there are issues. So there's no issues when it's up high. See, you can't project anything other than white or yellow to the front. You can't project anything other than yellow or red to the back. That's when you have problems when it's anything else. I have limo tint. Why do cops care so much? Well, there's a lot of reasons. One, limo tint means that you can't see out as well as you think you can. We also can't see in, which is a problem. And it's unsafe motor vehicle. Now, there's two different ways. If limo tint on the front windows, the ones directly left and right of a driver on the windshield, prohibited vehicle, unsafe, going to pull your license plates, you're going to get towed where you're going. It is absolutely unsafe. And that's just from you being the driver perspective. Now, there's also obscure interior of motor vehicle charge, and that's because we can't see inside. We can't identify what the driver looks like, what they're doing, are you wearing a seatbelt? We can't do our job because of what you've done to the vehicle. But it's an unsafe practice. So you might get your plates pulled, your unsafe motor vehicle charge, you might have driver's view obscured charge and an obscure interior motor vehicle charge. And technically, it could be for each of the windows, but I would never do that. I would charge you once for the whole thing. Illegal to use a service plate for bringing a car home? Yeah. That's for test driving vehicles and for taking vehicles that are not yet like for manufacturers. Well, service vehicles for specifically for mechanics to test drive a vehicle. It would be illegal to use it for other purposes. Oh, it was somebody was asking what should be done to prevent distracted driving. I think we should to have the same consequences of impaired driving or stunt driving. We should seize the car. We should put it into impound for a month or a week or 2 weeks or whichever. Like it's a week for stunt, 2 weeks for stunt driving. It's a week for impaired driving, which should be raised, by the way. But it's different. One's provincial. One is they just haven't changed it. So yeah, 14 days for using your cell phone. You might change your tune because that would be $1,350 for towing and storage, and that would change your tune. Okay. I have a Tiguan with rails in the roof. Can I use them to carry my tires if secured safely? It's all about securement. If you have properly secured items to the roof and they are truly secured with rated straps, then I can't see a problem with it. Just don't go into the underground and take your roof off. Driving a car without a license, is it against the law or is it a finable offense? Well, a finable offense means you violated a law. It's not a criminal law. It's a provincial offenses law, but it's a law. So it's a finable offense that is against the law. That's why you're getting a ticket, because you broke the law. Bumpadoo. Talked about this. Wow, we've gone long today. I wasn't going to go till noon, but I was going to go to like 11:30 tops. But it's been a good live. We've had good conversations, and then we've had buddy. Yes, please stop spamming. People get upset. I ignore you, but people get upset. Oh, Freedom Canadian, or I guess you don't have enough characters to spell it. You're just using an acronym. But yeah, I don't talk about vaccine baloney. Don't come here with that. Float is also full of it. Okay. Is it a requirement? Declan wants to know. Declan, buddy, it's been a long time if you're the same Declan that I think you are. We first met when he asked me if I was the donut lord, and I said, no, I'm the lord of donuts. Is it a requirement for cops to eat pink donuts with sprinkles and coffee when on duty? It is not a requirement, but it is an honor bestowed upon us. I don't even know where you'd get a pink donut with sprinkles. Do they sell them? I'm not a big donut person, a big person, but I don't eat donuts very often. I do like the Krispy Kreme raspberry filled. They are my favorite. They're actually the only donut that I would waste time eating, unless I'm really, really, really hungry. Okay, good to see you, Declan. I'm assuming it's the same you. If it's not you, then welcome. I've never spoken to you before, and whatever. What is this? We're talking about that. Is it legal to cycle on sidewalk if I'm cycling with a very young children, 9 years and younger? This one is a good question, and it really, it's a big deal for me because I'm a dad and I go riding with my kids. So technically in Toronto, as the adult, 14 or a 14-year-old or older must be on the road, and children under must be on the sidewalk, can be on the sidewalk. My thoughts are this: either only bring your children on bicycle where you can safely supervise them. Don't have them in the city. Because you are to be in two different places, and or accept the fact that you may be eligible for a ticket and do what you think is best. If you're being safe and you're not interfering with anybody, you're probably not going to have a hard time. And I think that the average officer hearing and understanding what you're doing would probably be okay. I can't speak for them, but probably, because I get it. I'm not going to let my 7-year-old go ride off into the sunset while I am, on the road trying to maintain a safe distance. But I also wouldn't take my kid riding a bicycle in Toronto. I would put them on a bike rack, and I'd take them to the country, and I'd go ride somewhere where I think is safe. That's just me. So I mixed message here, but you do what you got to do as a parent. If you're caught with a G1, did I catch that in time? I missed it. Driving G1 caught alone, what happens? You're going to get charged G1 drive unaccompanied, $110. You're going to get charged with, what are you going to get charged with? It's violating a collision, so it's going to get you a 30-day suspension at first. You're going to get a second, if it's your second time doing it, you're going to get a 90-day suspension. After that, you're going to get kicked out of the driving program, meaning starting at the beginning. If you took the car with consent, in other words, the person who owns that car said, yeah, no problem, your G1 license, you go have fun, they're going to get charged under the Highway Traffic Act for permitting it to happen. If you are taking it without consent, you're going to be charged criminally for take vehicle without consent. If mobile device use violates the HTA, what about factory touch displays in vehicles? They don't. They could be careless driving for using those displays, but they are not the same thing as handheld communication devices. Guess why? Because they're not handheld communication devices. And it's funny, I was talking about this on News Talk 1010 was it last week? When did I speak to them about it? I guess just after this kid got it was probably Monday night. Anyway, yeah, you could always get charged for cell phone use prior to the handheld communication laws coming into play. And it would be careless driving. And the courts or the lawmakers said, let's give a charge that's less than the $500 charge for careless. That has fewer demerit points because careless has 6 demerit points. Let's give them something, just to try and dissuade the bad behavior. So they said, we'll make new handheld communication device charges, and they were $125. That's what I used to write when it first came out. $125. Good deal, right? So how to get the $615, 3 demerit points, and a 3-day suspension? Well, people didn't learn with the $125. It was like a ticket to play. So they increased it. I think it went to $175. And people didn't stop using the devices. Now it's $615. I bet you in the next 5 years, it'll be a 30-day suspension and more money. I can't see it not going higher. And that's because people aren't able to control themselves. It's like an addiction. Well, it is an addiction. put it in the trunk. Like I like what I think it was Audi and Volkswagen did. They put the wire for CarPlay in the glove box, so you can't even access your phone. That's brilliant, except they overheat there. But yeah, I think you got to up the consequence. Freedom's still talking about unrelated to traffic stuff. And by the way, I'm not arguing medical stuff. I'm not saying you're wrong or right. Just can you not litter our chat? It's got nothing to do with traffic. And if I catch you actually in the next little while, I'm now in a position to remove you from the chat just because I'm catching you 15 minutes ago. Yeah. Keep it up. It'll be the last time I see you, unless you create a new account. Let's see here. What is this? Are you able to discuss the safety and regulations regarding turning left into or out of a parking lot, like a gas station at the corner of an intersection, when traffic volume is high and the person turning left is cutting between lanes of cars? Well, the person leaving private property has to yield to traffic. They have to wait. If they're not waiting, they're going to cause a collision and they're going to be responsible for it. I mean, I don't know. There's not much to talk about. People can use courtesy. If there's no courtesy being offered, they have to wait until such time as there's clarity. And what I will do, this is like, there's a restaurant I go to on a regular basis, and turning left onto the street that it's on is misery. So I turn right, and I make the left on the next street, and I just change my route because I can make a decision to be safe. And I make the appropriate decision. And someone who insists on making the turn because they don't want to add 5 minutes to their drive, well, they're the person responsible. The person turning onto the road, entering the road and turning left is going to be responsible for whatever happens. I don't know if that helps you, but yeah, don't do dangerous stuff. And if you do, you're going to be responsible. Did I catch that in time? No, I didn't. Someone said I had my G for 3 years. Can I drive it with the G1? I'm speculating as to what it said because it popped away before I was able to hit it. And no, if you have 1 year as a G2 before you had your G, so you have a total of 4 years, then you can supervise. Do you have the 4 dots in the bottom right-hand corner to the left of your mini-me photo? If you have the 4 dots in your license, you are qualified to supervise a G1 license. Solid line is it suggested not to pass as my niece? Solid lines, is it suggested not to pass as my niece's driver's ed has told students? It is a suggestion. In Ontario, it's a suggestion. In other provinces, it may be the law. And that is because, painted lines don't have authority. Signs have authority, but the painted lines don't have authority. We're the only province in Canada that doesn't have a law saying you can't cross the line. If you cross the line, you're responsible for what happens next. You may cause a collision. Bad things happen, but it's not a ticket for crossing the line. It's a ticket for what you did after, sort of. Solid lines suggest it's not a good idea. I would take the suggestion seriously. I don't know why, but Lauren said, oh no. I lost a whole bunch of stuff. Okay. It's more difficult giving tickets if you have Alberta. Is it more difficult giving tickets? Getting tickets, you mean? No, we'll give you tickets for Alberta plates. We don't discriminate. So Johan Norris says, thank you for sharing that story. I've been there without paper. It's traumatic, okay? I shared my trauma with you. My no toilet paper story. My wife is probably not happy with me sharing that. Okay. Can you drive four-wheelers on the road? Not in Toronto. Depends on the jurisdiction you're in. Make sure you know before you go because different jurisdictions have different rules. Let's see here. Can the MOT, the MOT, you mean MTO, pull you over for no reason? Well, there's never no reason. There's always a reason. And MTO's focus is going to be on commercial vehicles, but they do have authority to pull people over. Can a police officer pull you over for no reason? Well, again, there's never no reason. We can pull you over without any driving evidence against you. We can pull you over to check if you have a license. We can pull you over to, I missed a Kayla Draconis message. I can pull you over to check your license status, your sobriety status, your insurance status, the status or safety of your vehicle. That's without any other reason to pull you over. It's still a reason. It's just not something you did right in the moment. Excuse me. Is the new drinking and driving enforcement for OPP officers only or all cops? In 2018, mandatory alcohol screening became a thing in Canada. All cops. They can now make a demand, or we can now make a demand, without suspicion of you having alcohol in your system. We can make a demand for a breath test, a sample of your breath to determine how much alcohol you have, or if you have any alcohol in your blood. Prior to the law in 2018 changing, the difference was we had to have suspicion. And without suspicion, we couldn't make the demand. Since December 2018, we can now make the demand without suspicion. That's the difference. Now, what you're probably talking about is this decision from the OBP to employ mandatory alcohol screening in every single stop in the GTA. So if you're stopped for speeding, you're going to do a breath sample. And they're catching lots and lots and lots of people that they would otherwise not have caught for alcohol. Simple as that. Is it a good idea? It's a great idea. Is it apply to all cops? We always have had the option since the law came in that we could, as an individual, say, I am going to enforce and utilize mass at every stop. We can do that. But they're mandated. They're being told by their management to do it. And I think it's fantastic. Lines are a guideline. What do they say here? Solid line is a hard no to pass. It's not a hard no, unless you're somewhere other than Ontario. It's a maybe in Ontario, apparently. Susan says, a solid line is not negotiable. Again, if you're in Ontario, it is. It's a suggestion. It's not a law. If you're somewhere else, it may be a law for you, but just please understand that different laws, different states, different provinces, you're not accurate if you're talking about Ontario. And Susan, M says to Susan, love, you're incorrect. That seems so much more condescending than when I said it. And Susan is doubling down with caps. Do not cross. Okay. Susan, I'm going to stop addressing it, but you're wrong. Okay. I mean, it's safety and logic suggests you're right, but legally you're not right. Why are the seatbelts in all vehicles smaller than the driver's seatbelt? I've never looked at that. I thought they were all the same size. I wonder if it's factual, or it's just something that you've noticed because of you're closer to the driver one in your perspective. I don't know. I would have to look now. Everyone get in your car when you're done and check to see if your passenger seatbelt is the same width. Yeah. It's like when people talk to Siri and trigger, we're all going to go and check our seatbelts now because then we have to. Susan Love says, I never cross solid lines. Well, good for you. That's good for you. Okay. Do you need a license for an e-bike? If the e-bike is compliant, and by compliant I mean it's not capable of going more than 32 kilometers an hour on a flat surface under power, if it's not more than 500 watts motor power maximum capacity, if it's not over 120 kilos, and if it has functional pedals, then no, you don't need a license. If it violates any of those things, then you do need a license because it's a motorcycle and you need insurance as well. What is this? Rules for the, but not for me. Rules for the, not for me. I don't know what you're alleging, but there are things that we're exempt for. So in some situations, yes. Do I need a permit to wrap my car? No, but you need to notify the Ministry of Transportation after you've done it. But that's it. We have 6 days to change it. Okay. What are the laws for lane splitting on a motorcycle? It's not legal. Now, it's not specifically not legal. It's stunt driving or careless driving or criminal dangerous driving, depending on the observations. Like if you're doing it at a high rate of speed, a high speed differential, that's going to be stunt driving. If you're doing it even slowly, but you're weaving between traffic to get through, that's careless. If you're going at such a high rate of speed that you're risking everyone's life, like it's ridiculous, well, that's going to be criminal dangerous. That's handcuff time. If you are you're at a red light and you just don't want to be the last vehicle there because you're worried about an impaired or distracted driver, because there's lots of those, sadly, and you decide you just want to waddle through 3 car lengths to get, so you're not going to get the crumple zone there and not be the bumper for the car in front of you. I get it. I'm a motorcycle guy. I get it. Would I charge you for that? No, because not only am I watching you do something very carefully, but I'm also going to speak to you and you're going to tell me why you're doing it. And I would say that you'd sufficiently articulate that to me and I'd be like, okay. But if you do it to jump to the front of every group, to be aggressive and get to somewhere faster than everybody else, I'm going to say that's careless driving. And it's going to be your opportunity to dispute me in court. You're going to testify and tell me why this dangerous practice, which is pretty much legal in California and maybe a handful of other states that even acknowledge it's dangerous, why you're doing it. And I'm coming off trying to give you a picture. I'm not trying to say you're a bad guy. I'm just saying it's not legal and telling you why. Let's see here. I was pulled over for 20 over and the cop gave me a warning but said it 5 points. Is this normal? The warning is discretion. It's not 5 points. 20 over is not 5 points. 20 over is 3 points. In Ontario. Maybe you're somewhere else, but that's it. How safe is Canada? Safer than most places? I don't know how you rank safety. It's one of the safest places in the world. It's still not a place you walk around, with money falling out of your pockets and hoping nobody will give you a hard time. We have crime, but it's safer than most places. I passed on the dotted lines and the officer pulled me over. What is the point of a dotted line yellow? Yellow means that the traffic on the other side is coming at you. And just because the line is dotted doesn't mean it's safe to pass. It means you still have, it may have sufficient visibility to make a move if it's safe to do so. And if the officer determined it wasn't safe for you to do, then obviously they pulled you over for a reason. I have a joint in my glove box and it disappeared. You can't have a joint in your glove box. That's access in the vehicle. It's sealed in a package. It needs to be outside of access, or in the trunk, in the back seat, and luggage. But it can't be accessible. Your glove box is considered accessible by the driver. I passed on a solid line and got a ticket for failed to use signal. I pressed the button and by then it changed. Oh wait, maybe I can scroll back. Sky wants to know if it's legal to use walkie-talkies while driving. Yes, it is illegal to use walkie-talkies while driving. Commercial truck drivers have an exemption for CBs for certain things. You do not. That's a handheld communication device. It's against the law. Ryan D says, how was yesterday's Porsche meet? Yesterday's Porsche meet legal versus new bylaw? The bylaws are in York Region, not in Toronto. This took place in Toronto. And they may have had all the permits in the world. I don't know. But there's nothing. This was also not a burnout dum-dum event. It was a parking lot, let's have coffee, not stupid drivers. Like, there were some people in Lamborghinis who showed up and revved their engines, which was noise violations. But I didn't see anything that was burnouts and stunt driving and stuff. That stuff is illegal. Meeting your friends in a parking lot in Toronto isn't. And this was on their private property. What is this? I crushed a Thule going into a parking lot one day after I bought it. Oh no, I don't like stuff. I have a big truck, a full-size vehicle, and I'm terrified going underground. And I've gone where I've actually slightly rubbed pipes, like I've just made contact, and it's the worst sound in the world. Yeah, because it's. When you go through and it says you're tall enough or short enough to get in, but then you make almost contact. I look through the sunroof and my heart is in my throat. Yeah. Do you like the driver's side approach or the passenger side? Passenger side I appreciate, but I prefer driver's side because I'm 6'5", and passenger side means I have to bend at the waist to see inside. It drives me bananas, but I do it because it's technically safer. We talked about the underglow already. Why? I love this comment. Why is nothing being done about the rapidly increasing car theft rates? Lots is being done, and criminal networks are being uncovered, and people are being arrested all the time. It doesn't mean that all crime stops. There's lots of criminals. They don't all work together. They have businesses that compete with each other. I wonder if they have quotas. But we're constantly working to catch people, but we don't catch them all at one time. Daniel says they're on my side. I'm not sure where we're at now. But he says, I know you agree, but I have no idea what you're talking about. Let's see here. Dangerous driving versus careless driving, and can be dangerous driving charge be reduced to careless. Dangerous is criminal. It's a totally different area. Like it's one's provincial, one's federal. Like it's different. I don't think you can maybe I would charge you for dangerous and careless, and then let the courts drop one and pursue the other. But I've never seen it. I don't think I've ever. I mean, maybe it could be. I don't know. That's a prosecutor thing. I bought a breathalyzer online to prevent the obvious. Would you say they are reliable? I'd say you couldn't bank on it. If you're like on the wire and you think, well, I'm okay because it said so, I would not. I would err on the side of caution and wait for a zero or as close to it as possible. There are major brands that, like the same brands that we use, that sell a unit that's available for home use, and you can even send it back to be calibrated after a period of time. But could I tell you with certainty that it is going to be accurate? I can't. What is this? Can I come to a complete stop where the curb and the intersection meet, or is it at the white line? It depends what's there. So if the white line's there, it's the white line. If there's no white line, it's the where the sidewalk is. If there's no sidewalk, it's where the curb. It depends. It's let's read it right from the act. Disobey stop. Okay. Shall stop his or her vehicle or streetcar at the marked stop line, or if none, immediately before entering the nearest crosswalk, or if none, then immediately before entering the intersection, which is what I said. Slightly different wording. I know I've talked about this like 6 times already, but they did not get a ticket for being in their drive-through. They got a ticket for being on the street and then continuing to use their phone into a private property where they were stopped by a motor officer. The RCMP put out a statement, and there was an update. It's 12 o'clock. We've been doing this for 2 hours. I think I got to cut it short, but I'm having too much fun, and I'm not here for like a week. So I feel like I've got to keep going. No more new questions, please. No more new questions. Nude questions, definitely not. But new questions, we're going to ignore anything that comes in after 12. And I'm just going to try and scan through for anything goody that we could address because I care. It's the truth. I do this because I have a lot of fun doing it. Do you believe volunteer firefighters should have red and blues instead of green strobes? We don't have volunteer firefighters in Toronto. I thoroughly respect what volunteer firefighters do. Green strobes only give you a courtesy of asking people to get out of your way, and it's not enforceable. And I get that it could be the difference between life and death, and some people are just ignorant and don't get out of the way or don't know. I don't think you should have red or blues, and I'll tell you why. It's a tremendous amount of liability. Red and blues would mean you're also going to have all the other privileges, I'm assuming, and I just don't think you're ready to ruin your life over a decision, because coppers are still held accountable when they go through intersections and cause collisions, and it's just not worth it. No matter what you're trying to race to, you can't, you're not allowed to speed, you're not allowed to go through red lights. It's just a courtesy to get you there a little bit faster. What really needs to happen is they need to put full service or put you in for the full employ as a firefighter, and it's a money thing, but putting you at higher risk isn't the answer, in my opinion, and it's only my opinion. I was pulled over for speeding 5 miles over. Do you think the cop was having a bad day? That's like, depends on what the speed limit was. 5 miles over what? 5 miles over in a 40, in a 50, in a 60. And we're talking miles, so it depends. If you're in a community safety zone, if you're in front of a school and you're doing 5 miles over, we have zones that are 30 kilometers over. If you were doing 10 over, which it's not exactly 10 over. 5 is what does it work at this week? 1.6. My brain is not functioning at the moment. So 5 is 8 kilometers an hour. I probably wouldn't pull you over for 8 kilometers an hour on the highway or on a side road. But if you were in front of a school, I would. And maybe I wouldn't give you a ticket, but I'd have a good conversation with you about what kind of decision you're making. But maybe they were instructed to give tickets to any violator. I don't know what their rules are. And you're in the States. I have no idea what the way that they play is. If I put a plate cover on my license plate, is that okay? Tinted for sure not. Clear, you might get away with it for a while, but technically not legal. Okay. I got a ticket for distracted driving, ticket suspended for 3 days, license taken. That's what happens, but I don't know what the context was. What were you guys talking about? Okay. Scrolling back. Talked about this. I think it's 150 for driving in the HOV without qualifying for the HOV. Can you talk about how traffic court goes? It goes like court. What I'll tell you is in Ontario, there's a great document. You can get it by going to trafficcop.ca. You go to the useful links page and you can get the PDF download, and it explains the ins and outs, exactly what to expect as a defendant in traffic court. Yeah. So there you go. Daniel wants to know if we're friends. I have no idea who you are. If that's the question. I mean, do we have a problem? No, we don't have a problem. What do we got here? What are the where'd it go? What are the consequences for running from the police? Criminal charges. How does OPP know if you have valid insurance? The same way the Toronto Police knows. They sort of know if you have confirmed status or unconfirmed status. We still ultimately call the insurance company. Where'd it go? In Ontario, you can be on your phone. And in fact, it looks like in Saskatchewan, you can be as well. That person was using it on the road. Okay. Why cops refuse to... What is this? Why cops refuse to follow the rules? You're enforcing laws for commerce. No, Oscar. I don't know what your problem is or what your political views are, or because it sounds like freeman of the land kind of stuff, which is bogus. But cops have certain exemptions in order for us to do our jobs, which include ability to speed, ability to use cell phones. Hell, we can carry guns and do stuff like that too. There's different laws for us. We have different status. We're not civilians. We're police officers. But we're enforcing laws to protect people on the roads from people, obviously, who are getting tickets for breaking those laws, which means you're doing something that's unsafe. You can't card people. No, we don't card people. Carding is a practice that is gone. Many people who think we should bring it back, and that's obviously not going to happen, but the community has said we wish we had carding because they feel less safe because there's less interaction. We don't know who's going around, but we don't do it. We do hold people accountable for things. We charge them for things, arrest them for things. And carding is this concept where you just wrote down people's information and filed it. If we need to investigate someone, we'll have to document it. It's just done differently. We don't do this practice of randomly stopping people. And I just missed again the Akela thing that popped up. I was about to hit it and it went away. Okay. What do you need to drive a motorcycle? You need a learner's permit or a full motorcycle license. Learner's permit is an M1, and it's a written test, and then you can ride a bike with conditions. No passengers, but you can ride from a half hour before sunup to a half hour after sundown, and no highways. Like no 400 series highways and a number of other select highways. Yeah. You missed that I record, but yes, please. Saskatoon is mandatory to blow into a breathalyzer because it's all of Canada where it's mandatory, if they utilize mandatory alcohol screening. Red light camera ticket. So wait, red light camera ticket automated, there's no points even if you are found guilty. If it's a red light ticket issued by a police officer, there are demerit points. And the prosecutor can give you an option or an offer to reduce it if they want to get rid of, like negotiate. But if you're convicted of that offense, there are demerit points. And it could affect your any conviction could affect your insurance. We talked about this. What is this? Didn't people in Canada drive without a license due to making them sovereign citizens? This is fantasy stuff. Sovereign citizens isn't a thing. It's fantasy. The people who believe in it might believe in it, but it doesn't actually dictate the law of the land. They're giving you a ream of papers because someone sold them a ream of papers. John, didn't you come here yesterday and start with this baloney? So it means cops will be given breathalyzer before each shift. Is it rules for us not, or is it rules for us not? Your question formation is phenomenal. The deal is that police officers have to test their own equipment every time they go out, and every car pretty much has a breathalyzer. We are all required to provide a sample as the test subject for that. So yeah, effectively we're doing that. We're also paraded for duty by a superior officer who is then checking to find out if they're sober or not. There have been times when people have come in. There are people who have alcohol problems, and they've shown up inebriated, and they've been not only sent home, but it's a conduct issue, and they've been held accountable. Is the Ottawa rules the same as where you're from for driving? Where you're from for driving? Yeah, it's province of Ontario, so all of province of Ontario, same thing. They may have local jurisdictional differences, but that's it, like signage and bylaws. How much alcohol percentage is safe to have in your system before driving? None. 0. You should not have any alcohol before you drive. Any alcohol could lead to impairment, and everyone handles alcohol differently. I saw the thing about, I didn't intentionally miss your thing saying that the line thing is incredible from Abraham there, but I saw it. I was going to click on it. Disappeared too fast. Glad that you're learning something. Iguanaland. Anyway, I didn't skip over your question. These things are scrolling past too quickly, and I missed it. It was too slow. Do I have to wear a helmet on a motorcycle? Yes, unless you're a member of the Sikh faith, where there's an exemption present on religious grounds. Let's see here. How much alcohol percentage is safe to have in your system before driving? I said before driving. Yes, none. If you're going to get behind the wheel, that's alcohol consumed before driving. None. You should have no alcohol in your system before or during driving. Alcohol and drugs do not mix with motor vehicles. E-bikes shouldn't even be allowed. That's ridiculous. Are you saying that it's ridiculous that e-bikes shouldn't be allowed, or it's ridiculous that e-bikes are allowed? Because I don't quite understand what you're putting down. But yeah, e-bikes are motorcycles and very often modified to be to not conform to legislative requirements, making it something that goes too fast, and thus a motorcycle again, and those are illegal. Can an e-bike be ridden on the sidewalk? No, it cannot. In parks, depends. If it's a pedelec, it may be permitted there, but generally speaking, anything that looks like a motorcycle is not permitted on a bike lane or a cycle track, and not allowed on sidewalks. None of them are. And what else? Because you have to be under 14 years old to ride on the sidewalk, and you have to be 16 to ride an e-bike. So it really depends, but there are rules. Go to trafficcop.ca to know more about that. Okay. Did I get to 12 o'clock yet? No, I got a couple more. Can I go over the speed limit to take someone to the hospital? No, call an ambulance. You cannot speed for any reason. There's no legal justification as a member of the public to speed. And people say, what about the concept of necessity? I'm like, well, people have to go pee. It's a necessity. And then they kill people because they were speeding. No, leave early. Call an ambulance. Do not do it. And if you're going to insist on driving because you can't wait for an ambulance, drive safely and legally. Stress combined with speed, bad things happen. And thank you, Broadway, for suggesting that no, call an ambulance. What's the law about radar? I missed the question. When did you start noticing hair loss? I've never really paid attention. I cut my own hair because it's cheaper than somebody else, and I'm not suave enough to give myself a style, a coif of some kind. So I just take it all off. It's easier. But I don't know. I've got so much testosterone. It just wiped out the whole forehead real early. That's what all about being a big guy is. Okay. Oh my gosh. It just reminded me of my kids going, I'm a man. Yeah, that's my kids make fun of me. Okay. Hi, how are you? I'm doing well. How are you? I got a ticket for going 20 over the limit as a G2 driver. Okay. Don't know what to tell you because you're making a statement, not a question. What is this one? Is there regulations coming on electric motorcycles? Because right now you don't even need a license. You're incorrect, my friend. Electric motorcycles are motorcycles, and you need a license, ownership, and insurance. Absolutely regulated. They are motor vehicles. You need license, ownership, and insurance. If you're talking about an e-bike that looks like a motorcycle, that's sold as an e-bike, most of them are not legal. And I say that because there's one that looks like a Yamaha. It's an e-bike on its face. It has pedals that you can take in or remove or leave on. If you leave it the way it's configured from factory, it only does 32 kilometers an hour because of a limiter. But if you pull a jumper cable, the 2,000 watt motor instead of the 500 legal watt motor, it does 80 kilometers an hour. That's a motorcycle. It absolutely needs all of the stuff. Go to trafficcop.ca. Trafficcop.ca for all of the stuff. That tells you what it is. But don't buy one of those because you're going to spend $4,000 or $6,000, whatever it is, and you're buying something that's not legal for the road just because it's capable of going more than 32. Even if you leave the wire on and you press the button and it doesn't go more than 32, if it's got an off-road mode, that's illegal. If you can, it's like saying my Tesla, I stop pressing the gas pedal when it gets to 32 kilometers. So isn't it an e-bike? No, it's a car, and that's a motorcycle. Any which way you cut it. So people are trying to make money on you, and they're willing to sell you stuff that's not legal, and a lot of people getting away with it for a really long time, but it's not legal. Is a filed report on me a bad if you didn't do anything? Well, if you didn't do anything, why is the report filed? Like someone just made an allegation? It's just an allegation. What was I going to tell you? I met somebody on an EUC. If you're watching, hey, shout out to the guy on the EUC who's only using it off-road, he swears, after acknowledging the fact that that he acknowledges they're really dangerous. But yeah, they're a really cool-looking toy that's like capable of doing only 32 kilometers an hour. Yeah. Anyway, met someone with an EUC yesterday. Took a photo with him. 34 kilometers an hour. There's also power ratings. 32 kilometers an hour is maximum speed. With places going to apps, we've covered this. It's not illegal in Ontario. It's not even illegal in Saskatchewan. That driver was using it on the road. I saw the tinted truck you showed in one of your videos the other day in Vaughan. Well, I saw it in Vaughan, so it makes sense that you saw it in Vaughan. It's probably somebody who's like going to pick their kids up from school. People tint things because they look cool. Like I saw a vehicle yesterday that the windows looked opaque, including the windshield. I wasn't driving on the road at the time, so none of my business. But like it's ridiculous that car is done. It looked super cool and also super illegal. Need more cops during rush hour. The amount of people doing dumb stuff during that time is insane. I couldn't agree with you more, but we need more cops on the road all the time. We're way short of police officers. So we're segueing into me saying goodbye, but we're segueing into talking about employment. We're going to end it there. We're going to talk about employment for a second. And then we're going to play a song. So come on. There we go. Load it up. Careers. If you're interested in becoming a member of the Toronto Police, because we need Toronto Police, you can go to the website. And what is the website? It is www.tps.ca/careers. And come on, mouse, where are we? Put it on screen. Clickety click. And there we go. You can apply online. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All the information you ever wanted to know, but we are hiring. It is a phenomenal career. You get to help people every single day. And then maybe you get into social media and take over my job so I can retire. Because, that's going to have to happen one day. Now, this is, where you get information about a police officer and talks about everything, like I said, that you need to know. But there's other jobs that are involved with helping people, special constable, parking enforcement officer, communications operator, and like I continue to check every day, civilian roles. if you want to support the police and work in the back end, there are a bunch of jobs. 6 of them. There were 7 yesterday, but 1 closed. Property and evidence clerk. I think that showed up today. Was that posting today? Posted yesterday. Social media specialist, corporate communications. Social media, it's a thing. Facial recognition analyst, intermediate technical analyst, UC infrastructure. Communications operator, developer, and digital team. And those are the jobs that are currently posted. If you know somebody who might be interested and capable of serving their community this way, in this magical way, tell them to go apply before the opportunity's gone. Anyway, I'm out of here. I'm gone, and I'm gone for a week. And to anyone who didn't get it, what do we got here? I'm an ex-officer. Cops are a joke. The body system and false reporting is inside. Colin and you might be an ex-officer, but if you're saying that, I don't actually believe that you're an ex-officer because I don't have the same experience as you. But you know what? I shouldn't take that away from you. If you're an ex-officer and that's your experience, you're allowed to have your experience. It's just not my experience. I don't think that's an accurate representation of the police service. So moving on. I'm going away for a week. I won't be here probably for the entire week. I'll probably put out some content while on vacation because I'm that kind of guy. But I'll see you when I get back not this Monday coming, but the Monday after. Have a great week. Have a nice long weekend. Stay safe. Drive sober. Park legally. And try not to end up in the news for doing bad stuff. Yeah. Here's a song about my pet peeves.
Zooming down the highway, pedal to the metal, but oh my goodness, what's with the slow pedal? Speeders and slow drivers, they're driving me insane. Can we find a middle ground? It's a driving game. Lights on, lights off, they can't make up their mind. Flashing like a rave party, it's a scary sight. The title, people acting like they own the street, but with their driving skills, they're just causing grief. Traffic jam, hear the honking, it's a symphony. Entangled in a mess, it's pure insanity. Special people making U-turns on Young Street, blocking all the lanes, don't you have some courtesy?
Watermelon. I think the mango's better. I gotta say, I talked about pedal to the metal. I never even realized that the artificial intelligence, Suno, that wrote the song under the premise of certain pet peeves. I didn't even notice that it said that. I actually do the speed limit, and my pet peeve is people who speed. So it chose to misinterpret it and make a song about speeding and being held up by slow drivers. I'm the slow driver, but I'm in the right lane because I'm not someone who breaks the law. Oh, wait, I had dad jokes. I was going to say goodbye. Dad joke from Akila Draconis. My daughter was chewing on electrical cords. Really? So I had to ground her. She's doing better currently and is conducting herself well. That's actually really good. Do you get it? There's like multiple. There's multiple. Okay, moving on. What washes up on the shores of small beaches? Microwaves. Okay. Quote. Don't part with your illusions. When they are gone, you may still exist, but you have ceased to live. Mark Twain. I don't know how, I'm not buying the Mark Twain. That's not resonating with me. It's okay. What do we got here? Oh, okay. Questions that I flagged and then never answered. Just curious if you have a broadcasting background prior to policing, you have a natural radio sound. Thank you very much. It's all the microphone. I have a really squeaky voice normally. I don't have a broadcasting. I DJ'd. I used to DJ like parties and clubs and stuff like that, but I never worked in broadcasting until I got behind this microphone. But thank you very much. We talked about this yesterday, but it's the same person who asked yesterday. Is it legal to drive with a valve-controlled muffler? It keeps your car as quiet as it was stock. If you have the valve and if you are caught, it is against the law. You cannot, it's not legal. Okay. What is your view on the speed cameras popping up everywhere? Cash grab? No, it's about trying to dissuade people from breaking the law. And I apologize. This question was like the first 10 minutes of the show. So 2.5 hours later, they probably aren't here to listen to it, but I feel better knowing that I answered it. Yeah, I think cameras should be on every street, every stop sign, every red light. No one should be able to break the law because it's called breaking the law. Why should people be given an opportunity to get away with it? Like, we don't want people to steal cars. We don't want people to hurt people, but we want people to drive in such a way that they put lives at risk, but they shouldn't be held accountable because that is a different kind of hurt. We lost 45 people in the city of Toronto last year to collisions with motor vehicles, whether it was the 27 or 29 that were pedestrians or it was one of the others that made the 45. They were lives that were lost unnecessarily based on the choices of drivers. So I think that all drivers should follow the law. I don't think it's a big, tough ask. It's just what should happen. Question to zero alcohol for commercial drivers. This is a good question. Question is zero alcohol for commercial drivers. Does this apply only when operating said commercial vehicle? Yes. Same situation if you had a G-class license where you're allowed to have more than zero because you qualify for it if you're over a certain age and you have the proper license. Well, what happens if you get a learner's permit for a motorcycle? Well, then it applies when you're on a motorcycle, but it doesn't apply for your entire license. And that's a misunderstanding that many have. And it's a legit one. It's a good question. When your speed radar catches someone speeding, how do you know who is speeding on the road? Because we're actually not using the device to tell us someone was speeding. We're with a laser. We're actually pointing it at your license plate bumper or another reflective point on your vehicle, and we're pointing it at you, and we're getting a direct speed reading of you. And that's after we determine that we want to point it at you based on observing your driving. We're not just saying, hey, computer, tell me who's speeding. We're actually actively making an estimation of your speed, confirming it with our device. When it comes to a radar device, which is different because we're not pointing a beam directly at you, we're making observations and we know how radar works and we can establish who is the person who is creating the speed reading based on our training. That's that. And we're done. Have a great weekend.